Yes, good evening, good afternoon, good morning, wherever you are in the world. Welcome back to Football Heritage TV. And guys, one day we're going to come on here after a game and say, well, we've won a game. But I'll be positive. We didn't lose. We did not lose. Guys and girls, welcome to the Danalists. Welcome to Danny from Hotspur Hood. Welcome to Lubo from every channel. He's like a YouTube slut, isn't he, old Lubo? He hasn't got his own channel. He just loves everyone else's. Guys, that is now 9 games and 1 win in the league. That is Southampton at home is our only win in quarter of a season. Lubo, I'm going to start with you. I don't think the team would have been a surprise to anybody. We knew there was going to be loads of changes. But the performance, I'm genuinely putting that up there with one of the worst displays I've ever seen. It was an awful, awful game of football to watch. How did you find it? And you went. You poor bugger, you went.
It was one of the worst games I think I've ever seen in my life, quality-wise, for a top division game. I mean, the amount of if someone analyses the amount of misplaced passes from both teams, it was just dreadful. The amount of balls that were going off the touchline. I mean, neither keeper hardly had a save to make. I hadn't even looked at the stats, but there weren't. I mean, Vicario I think made one at the end from Bowen's header. Did their keeper make a save? I don't know. I can't remember. It was a yawn.
I don't remember him doing a thing.
It really was a boring game. Listen, what did we expect from today? We knew he was going to make load of changes. Listen, he's lost Bergvall, he's lost Maddison. He doesn't want any more injuries. You look at anybody picking up an injury now, 17 days before a potential cup final, chances are you're going to miss it. Because unless it's like one of those dead legs or knocks that you're going to get over in a week, you're probably going to miss a game, aren't you? So, the team played like we didn't really want to get injured. There was no urgency. And it's just poor. For me, listen, it was one of those games you just get out the way. I just want the season to end now, to be honest, and get rid of this manager and start again in the summer, to be honest. So, was I pissed off about it? Not really. Was I expecting it? Yes. We came away with a point, so we didn't lose. We took 4 points off West Ham. So on my WhatsApp group, there'll be plenty of banter going on. We actually won the cup final for 16th place. So
for this week, we won the cup final. For this week, yeah.
It was poor, wasn't it? It was poor, but did it matter? Not really. Some of us players stayed fit for Thursday night. I think, the whole season hinges on 90 minutes Thursday, doesn't it? So it was one of those games. It was one of those games today that you just want to get out the way without any injuries and hopefully without another defeat. So we can only get defeated 22 times this season. We're down to 22 potentially. So it's an improvement on 23.
Yep.
So there was a positive there. So that's how I felt. It was just one of those. You walk away. I won't have that afternoon in my life again. I've lost those 90 minutes. But
yeah, I mean, let me come to you, Danalist. Sorry, I know your name's Dan, but with the other Dan, I'd have to keep explaining which one. Yeah, listen, I don't think anyone was expecting anything amazing, but I was kind of thinking to myself, I mean, West Ham are awful. Like, by the way, we've been awful, but I'm thinking West Ham are awful. Surely we can at least have some shots on goal. Surely we can work their keeper. And it was just powder puff for 90 minutes, wasn't it?
Well, evening, everyone. Big up, chat. Yeah, this team, man, it just sucks the life out of you, doesn't it? Really, after the buzz of last week, win, going into the second leg this week. There's just nothing positive to say at all. More drop points. We offered nothing. It was 2 rubbish teams against each other. Offered very little. I mean, Vicario pulled off that save in the last, near the end of the game, we could have lost it. But literally, there's just nothing to say. And then you just look at Ange. He's just a broken man, isn't he?
Yes.
You watch his press conference after, and that guy should have been put. I know you.
I don't want to.
No.
They should have put him out of his misery months ago, and it's on Levy, really. The guy, he doesn't want to be here anymore, does he? And where's the inspiration for Thursday, for the rest of the season? It's the players. It's just nothing left, is there? This guy, we just need him gone. The football is so rubbish, isn't it? What are they doing in training every week? I mean, there's just nothing, no improvements. And if you look at the, that table where it has us at the start of the season, and we're just this all the way down, 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 down. And we may end up finishing lower than West Ham. A couple of tricky games, haven't we, left?
I mean, but the thing is, before I come to Danny, Danilist, the worrying thing about this now is, like, as I said, 1 win in 9, which I think is getting swept under the carpet purely because of the Europa League. The worrying thing about it, Dan, is that 1 win in 9, right, has been when nearly all of these players are back fit. Like we were sold the dream. We were told, Ange told us, when the players are back fit, you'll see what we're trying to do. I look at a team, Dan, and I don't see. I said this a lot during my stream. I'll say it now. Everyone in the chat, I'd love to get your opinion on you guys on the stream. What are we? Like, we're not a counter-attacking team. We're not a front-footed attacking team. We don't move the ball quickly. We're not a passing team. I don't know what we are anymore. And this is the result of 2 years of coaching from Ange. Is that harsh, or is this just the reality of what we are now?
Is that to me or Danny?
It was to you, and then the other Dan to carry it on. But yeah.
Mate, what can we say? The evidence is there, the results, the performances, nothing's got better, no progression, defeat, draw today. I mean, there's just nothing this team is offering under Ange. Yes, I know we're in the Europa League and, all the eyes are on that. But honestly, this team under Ange is one of the worst I've ever seen. Spurs, we're just so boring. I don't look forward to watching the side play. I just look at it and I just think, bloody hell, this is depressing. And we just need to end. And there's not long left now, is there? A few more games left, and hopefully they can move him on. And hopefully we'll win that Europa League. And thank you, Ange. But no, he's not the man to bring us forward. We need a new coach to come in and take us forward next season.
Danny, the worst or one of the worst you've ever seen? This team, this manager, this, how have we hit Ben's V? Are we at the bottom of the V? Have we hit
for me, you can say we've seen worse games because you've seen us get destroyed, this, and this, and we didn't get destroyed. But no, I look on it on a different side as well. From a game of, if we go and get destroyed 5-1, it was still a good game for the other team to watch, or a good game for a random person who likes football to watch. Yeah. This game, it's up there with the worst of the worst, in my opinion. It just had absolutely nothing.
But the team in general, the team in general, Dan, like, is this one of the worst teams? This, for me, I agree with Dan. For me, this is one of the worst Tottenhams I've ever had the misfortune to watch. And yes, we can talk about Europa League, and we will, but I'm mind-numbingly bored every time Tottenham are playing. And I'm trying my best on watch-alongs to, it's mind-numbing.
I mean, I give you that credit where it's due. At least you tried earlier. It showed you didn't succeed much, but you tried.
I did.
I mean, especially when you're getting out of bed at like 1 o'clock or whatever, that's, the football's on, whatever. I said I'd jump on a Zalo sort of thing, hanging out my arse from last night, and then just watching that. And I just thought, why did I even just waste 90 minutes of sleep to get up and watch? That was a bad game of football. No two ways about it. It doesn't matter whether there was a winner or a loser in that one. That was just 16th versus 17th to see who could be shitter on the day. And it just worked out that they were both that shit that neither of them could win. I thought that was awful. And I've said I really don't care about the league anymore. Whatever happens. It's irrelevant to me now. Yeah, but of course I still want us to win games. I don't want us to lose. It's not that I want. It's just it's not going to bother me in the slightest whether we finish 14th or 17th. It's not going to affect me in any way. So I totally get you got to mess that team about because in 4 days' time we've got a much more important game. But then you even still think some of the players have still got a little bit of something. They just don't know what. The thing is, I don't think this is really different to what's been going on all season. They don't know what they're doing. There's no coordination out there. Nobody seems to know where anybody is. Nobody seems to know where to put the ball without even having to look, if you get what I mean. Quick example I give. Go and take all the German teams I can remember. Used to be able to put blindfolds on them, spin them 10 times round on the pitch, and they still knew where every one of their other players would be on that pitch. Ours haven't got a clue. There is just no coordination in that team whatsoever. And without Maddison in there, there's no creativity whatsoever.
Yeah,
nothing.
Agreed. We're going to get to. We've got a segment about Maddison. Before we get there, I mean, Lubo, if we actually look at the game, we went 1-0 up, but let's be brutally honest, we'd offered nothing. Like as a team, we offered absolutely nothing. They made a mistake which we pressed, and then Odegaard won't have an easier goal. But then after that, I'm always saying, Lubo, nothing silly, Spurs. Nothing silly, Spurs. And they just cut through us like a knife through butter. Wandered towards our goal with no one putting in a tackle, no one stopping through balls. Vicario has a nightmare getting nutmegged at his near post. That summed up Spurs' season, didn't it? Scoring without deserving to, and then conceding the same type of goal we've been conceding all year. It was just Spursy, wasn't it, Lubo?
It was funny. We bumped in. We went for breakfast with a couple of good friends of mine who are West Ham, and we got back. We met them back at the car after the game, and they said the same as us. Both goals were really poor goals, really poor.
Yeah.
If your team had conceded the other goal, you'd have thought that's exactly the same.
Exactly.
And it just typified the game, didn't it?
Mm.
2 really poor teams. I can't add too much. It was, apart from that, there was very little to talk about. I can't think of it really. The only time I actually got semi-excited and came out of my coma was when Mikey Moore was on the ball. I thought there were a couple of really nice moves. I mean, he burst through midfield before they took him out. He played a lovely ball down the line for Spence to run onto. He was the only one. He was the only one, to be honest, who looked like he could do something. Pretty much, apart from the 2 goals that were well taken, he was the only one on the pitch that actually did anything. I don't think there was. You look at Paqueta, Kudus, who are really good players as well. There was just absolutely nothing. It really was a piss poor match. It was dreadful. It was dreadful. And all I took out of that, and as I said on our WhatsApp group after the match, is that, you look at when Mikey Moore came on at Everton, got the ball, put in that gorgeous ball that Richarlison put in when he beat Pickford to the ball for the second goal. The cameo against Alkmaar that started the pressure that ended up with the penalty when Richie scored. The goal he got against that walks through that dribble and that nice finish against Elfsborg. And this kid's got to be given a chance, because whenever he comes on, he does something. And you look at the others, and they're not doing anything. Hardly anything. With Moore, I think it's exciting. Give him the chance, get him playing, get him used to playing at that level, at that pace. I think he's only 17.
At the risk of repeating what we've been arguing about for about 3 hours in our WhatsApp group, this is why I never wanted Matisse Tell. This is why I said all of these minutes this season that we've given to either Timo Werner in the first half of the season and Matisse Tell in the second. Imagine Moore had those minutes. We'd be seeing a Mikey Moore that's got more experience, more game time, grown as a man, going into next season more experienced overall and confident. But we haven't. We've put players like Tell in front of Mikey Moore. And I don't see any difference. Like when Mikey Moore came on, I'm not going to sit there and go, it's amazing. But I don't watch Mikey Moore and go, oh, your level's below Tell or Odeber, or I don't look at that. So again, I think that we've missed an absolute trick this season, where if all the seasons we've ever had, this was the year where you could have given Mikey Moore loads of game time. I'm not saying it's to start every week, Lubo.
No,
second half of the season,
I agree with you. Put him on for 20
could have
minutes.
had so many minutes.
Sure. You put him in half time, 60 minutes, 70 minutes. You bring him on as an impact sub, and you work him into, you integrate him into the team in that way. And when you look at the players that have been playing in that position, it's not like they're that good. And you can say, well, look at him. He's been consistent throughout the whole season. You're not going to play. Where'd you play Mikey Moore? And he had that virus that kept him out for 2 or 3 months. So apart from that 3-month period, he should have been playing. But listen, we've got a manager that is clueless with his team selection, doesn't know how to rotate. Look what he's done with Archie Gray this season. So why would he be any different with Mikey Moore? The guy's hopeless, absolutely hopeless. Why didn't he play Gray in midfield today? Another great opportunity for Gray to play in midfield. You don't throw him in at Anfield when they're champions elect against Gravenberch and McAllister. You put him in against West Ham. The whole thing's a shambles. The sooner Ange goes, the better, and we can start becoming a proper football club and not a banter football club. It's enough now, you know. I
agree. I mean, Danilis, this is the last one I'll do where we go round, then we can just talk. Look, I genuinely don't know. I genuinely don't know if I've ever seen a team as badly coached. But what I don't get, Dan, with this is, if this is a game where it doesn't mean anything, but why did we only see one substitution? And why are we not seeing Moore get 45 minutes? Why are we not seeing a J.E. sitting on the bench? Let's be fair. Tell an Odeber, apart from the mix-up for the goal, fair play, offered nothing for 90 minutes. Why, Danilis, why couldn't we see a J.E. for 45 minutes or half an hour? What is this manager's reluctance to do it?
I just think this manager worries so much. Look how we were embarrassed against Liverpool, playing that midfield. Now, I don't think he wanted another defeat. So I think that's why he went for the likes of Basuma Sarr in there. Just a bit more experience. Because, look, I said before the game, I said I didn't want another embarrassment. But on reflection, I'm still embarrassed because the football is so awful. So I'm embarrassed in a different way. You know, thank God we didn't get beaten and beaten well. But look, I mean, Ange gets caught up not knowing what to do, does he? I mean, the sensible thing would probably to play more youngsters in the side, or at least bring them on in the second half. Give them some minutes. You know, a J.E. There's a number of them. Who else was on the bench today? Let's have a look.
I don't know if there was anyone else young on the bench, was there?
There wasn't. There was just the first teamers. So,
but that's baffling, right? If you're not planning to bring the first teamers on, why not have a few kids on the bench? And in the last 20 minutes, see, if we lose a game, right, and a J.E. has played 45 minutes on one side, Moore's played 45 minutes on the other, and you've got Archie Gray in central midfield, but you could almost turn around and go, okay, well, at least we tried something. But Odeber, his signing, offered absolutely nothing. Sorry, I know we can say the goal, but as a winger, did nothing. Tell, nothing. His player, right? These are his players now, and I genuinely don't understand, Dan. I don't understand.
Did you notice that none of the attacks went down that side, though, did they? Why can't we make it play differently? You know, always going down the left all the time. Why couldn't we get the ball to Wilson more? Why? What is going on with how we play? Like, surely you would switch it up a bit through game, but we just don't have to. They're just not set up at all. Where are they to kind of create that football?
It's the way the manager sees the football, basically. And anyone can vouch for me if they ever. It's like he plays FIFA. That is literally like how he tries to get this team to play. And when you want to be good at FIFA on the PlayStation or Xbox, whatever, and that, you know how to use your formation on there, i.e. push the whole team up there. You need one defender back, leg it down the wing, sweaty across, and someone will tap it in. That is exactly, basically how he plays football, like I play FIFA. That is literally what he does. I'm not exaggerating.
So worrying.
I know.
It's so worrying, isn't it? I mean, look, but I'm not making out like we were outplayed and West Ham were brilliant, because West Ham are a mess as well. If ever a club needs to get to the summer, West Ham and Spurs need to get to the summer, but at least we've got the Europa League to play for. I was going to do a whole hour on the game, but I don't think there is an hour worth of material from today's game. It was, other than Vicario save in the second half, I can't remember either team doing anything. I think Fulkrog had a header wide. I think Bowen flashed one wide, didn't he, on the volley? Sarr had a shot that just rifled over the bar, but there was nothing to talk about, really, is there?
Both sides had 2 shots on target. Both keepers made 1 save each, and the other time picked the ball out the net. That was it. I mean, what got me was that he made 1 substitution. He could have made 5.
Yeah.
He stuck with 1. So, but you're right, bring it. If you don't want to play all the first teamers that are sat on the bench, give Ajayi a run out. You know, the kid came on in a European game, swaggered on the pitch like he was God knows who, got the ball, was absolutely brilliant within 60 seconds. He's danced around a couple of players, played a 1-2, and buried it in the bottom corner. And you think, Jesus, this kid has come on and he's made an impact like immediately. Give him a chance. I just don't get it. We haven't seen him since then. He hasn't even been on the bench since then.
Yeah.
And I think that's where people would find it easier to handle, sort of thing. Because, like I keep saying, the season's been done and dusted for over 3 months. And, I say everybody, a lot of people have known it, yeah? If he would have just basically took that in like a month ago even, and just made it clear as day that he was only focusing on the Europa, because that is pretty much all that is all we have to play for, really. I mean, pride isn't really a word used at Spurs very much. Then, you know what, start using the kids. Play more of them. I can totally understand today leaving half the team out because we got the more important thing. That's smart rotation. Well, not even smart. That's just common sense. But then
let's be fair, Dan. It doesn't even matter anymore. Dan, let's be fair. If we look at the last 9 league games in which we've won 1, and I'm being polite by only mentioning 9 games, I could go back through this entire season. It genuinely, when we talk about now we're resting people, and this is our first team, and I said, it genuinely doesn't matter who plays. We are not good. In this 9 games, Van der Ven's been there, Romero's been there, Bentancur, Solanke, Son, Maddison, Adogi, Porro. It doesn't matter, Dan, who plays. This is what we're getting used to every week now. It's lackadaisical performances. It's no real direction. There's like any sign of the football we saw at the beginning of last season has absolutely disappeared. There is no good football. There's no triangles. There's no patterns. There's no give and goes. I can't remember the last time we played well. I genuinely can't remember the last time where I went, that was good. I can't.
But the only time you can even say that of late is probably that second half against Frankfurt, and that's only because we defended with our lives. That doesn't mean we played good.
Sure.
Not in my opinion, But it's one you could actually look on it and say, all right, the manager half had a clue what he was doing for once, and the players did what they had to do. But the fact that we even sit here and look at that and then go and praise that when that is just something that should be happening anyway, again, it just about says it all on how low this club is right now. We keep using this word all the time, should. We should not be saying to each other, we should beat West Ham. I reckon we would, or Southampton or whatever. But it has got to that point where you don't know what. or you do know what's round the corner, basically, and that's Tottenham. And whether people like it or not, lump it or like it, the table ain't lying. We are shit, and the manager is even worse. Just get us an average, everyday manager. I don't know. Go get someone off the park or something. I'm sure he ain't gonna do worse. Just get an average day manager who has half a clue how to talk to his players, and has half a clue about that there is more than just one side of football, i.e., there is defending as well as attacking.
But it's mad, isn't it, Dan? It's mad. Like we had this conversation. I'd like to get the other two opinion on this. We had this conversation earlier on the stream, and we were just using Thomas Frank as an example, right, of a manager that our fan base absolutely looks down upon. But when do you watch Brentford and you ever think they look a shambles? By the way, I'm not saying they don't lose games. Of course they lose games. They're Brentford. Tiny stadium, tiny squad, tiny budget. But I never watch Brentford and go, they're an absolute shambolic mess. I never watch Brentford and think, you're not coached. So Danilist and Lubo, why do we do that? Why do we, to use Danny's terminology, why do we look at standard managers that just do the everyday job well? Why do we look at them and look down on them? Like, I'm looking at Thomas Frank, what he's doing at Brentford, and going, you are putting my manager and my club to absolute shame. By the way, Brentford, who we were above about 15 games ago, right? Anyone know any points behind Brentford we are?
10, 12?
14.
Oh.
We are 14. We are 5 wins behind Brentford, who lost their, all this, but we lost Kane. They lost Ivan Toney in the summer, and the person they replaced Ivan Toney with got injured in pre-season and hasn't played all year. So why do we look down, Dan Listerloo? Why do we look down at people like Thomas Frank that just do their job properly?
You say, who are you talking about? I don't look down. I'm sure people on the panel in the chat. Who's looking down? What do you mean?
Mate, I've asked him before and I said, Frank. And the number of it, Frank's not the one. Frank's not good. He's not good enough for Spurs. And yet I'm watching what we're seeing today and going, Frank would look like Sir Alex Ferguson compared to this guy.
Well, look, the basics are gone. The effort, motivation, wanting to win football matches, trying is gone. Hasn't it? It's completely gone. Nobody looks interested anymore in the league. Okay, in the Europa League, they know there's a chance to win a trophy, so they're turning up. And I think it's more on the players themselves rather than anything Ange is doing. So, look, this shows you that we're finished as a team under Ange. There's nothing to say. And then you look at all those other managers, and if you pick any of them, as soon as they come into this side and put their system in place, we'll see a completely different team. I'm sure of it. I'm convinced of it. And there's so many we could take, or we could try and get in the summer. And I'm hope they're looking at right now. But look, it's just, as I said, it's just gone down. Performances have got worse and worse. Everybody said, wait until we get our players back. We got our players back and we looked even worse. And then the excuses were, we've got the Europa Leagues. We got to rest them. Excuses, not just from Ange, from the fan base as well. And I'm just can't wait for us to get a proper coaching. Frank would be great.
By the way, guys, Lubo, I'll come to you. I'm not saying, by the way, that Thomas Frank is oh my gosh, he's got to be the only one. But you understand what I'm saying, right? When you look at Frank, when you look at Iriola, I watched Brighton at the same time as I was watching Spurs, by the way, because the Brighton game was actually really good. The patterns of play, like Brighton, the patterns of play, Lubo, from back to front, was just like, yes, you've been coached. They look like they know each other's game. He's been there 1 year. He's got young players like Belieber and Minte. He's got people like Danny Welbeck up front that would be absolutely frowned upon at this fan base. How are they doing it, Lubo? And we look so bad.
I don't think it's a question that the other managers are that fantastic. I think they're decent managers. We have got a manager that is tactically inept, doesn't coach the players properly. He's been told to change, doesn't listen, just wants to do it his way. And we've all seen the results. And it's been literally, apart from the first 10 games, we've had the most horrendous 2 seasons. We really have. And I think that, for me, you look at someone like Thomas Frank, look what he's achieved on the budget he's got. And that budget is not just a transfer budget for what you buy players with. You've got to put the package together with wages as well. So he's limited with what he can do. And what he's done is he's organised players into a system and he's getting the best out of all of them. And he's probably reaching his ceiling as far as Brentford's concerned. But it's funny, I was watching an interview with him a little while ago on Football Focus, and he was saying what a great club Brentford is, you know, from the owners all the way down. Everybody pulls together, everybody gives 100% commitment to the club, and he loves it there. And you've got to actually, you know, listening to that, I thought to myself, why does he want to leave there and come and work for Levy? Who just has no drive and determination and intensity and drive to be a success at football. There's, you know, why would he want to leave owners who give their best? He may not win anything, but then he's looking at Spurs and thinking, well, they've won nothing for 17 years, so what am I doing?
Well, it's a challenge, Ian, isn't it? It's a challenge. That's why if he wanted a challenge, and he would have to obviously analyse the squad that we've got and what he think he could do with that team. You know,
if you're looking at
player, we're better than Brentford, so it's really we should be above them.
Right, but it's not for kids. It's not all about money.
Didn't say money.
Frank, if he's kicked out after 18 months, what then? You know, he's in a good job. He's doing a very good job with backing, as much backing as they can give him. Now, I'm sure maybe at some stage he will think, do you know what? I'm going to have a go. But when he leaves, he's got to make a really educated, informed decision. And he's got to go to a club. He's had great service, great commitment, great backing behind him, that Brentford can only go to a certain level. Now, if he goes to a bigger club, which I'm sure he will do, right? It's a bit like Eddie Howe at Bournemouth. People looked at Eddie Howe and thought, oh, we don't want him. He's only done it at Bournemouth. Newcastle have taken him on, and look what he's doing there. He's got to. It's like Howe. Howe looked at Newcastle. Okay, for him that was more because he went there before the Saudis took over. So for him that was a step up, and that was him having a go. I think had he been out of a job? I think when he joined Newcastle.
Hadn't he had some? Didn't he go away and he was he was studying, was it like Porto and Atletico Madrid? He was going to watch them and coach with them and upskilling himself.
There was talk about Celtic, and in the end he went to Newcastle. Frank is in a job. How wasn't? Frank's got to make, if he leaves, it's a massive career decision for him. So he's going to look at the whole picture, and he's got to actually go to a club that is going to give him every chance to achieve his ambitions.
Yeah, but
can I show you?
He would have watched Poch, wouldn't he? He would have seen what Poch done at Spurs, you know.
And on the other side of it as well, Ian, this is again, it's purely opinionated. This one,
yeah.
But I think there's a lot more players and managers out there that look on football as a job, not like this passion sport that they used to love the way it was, say, 20 years ago. I think it has turned a lot more mercenary in a lot of ways. You go put that right money on the table, you will get that man that you want, basically, unless a bigger club comes in and puts bigger money down. We can offer him 3 times the wages that Brentford can. Go put that on the money in front of him on the table. I'll lay money on it here and now. The fella walks. Yeah, he's going to find it a bit tough, but when it comes to that stage of it, he's not a quality enough manager to go and manage someone, what I'd call a big team, a real big team. I don't think he is, yeah? but I think he has got more than enough capability of managing a broken team like ours, basically. Yeah. I'm not saying he's going to take us to. He's definitely someone who can do a cup. I said that Ange could do a cup because a cup you can win through luck. A league, at the end of the day, don't lie with 38 games, does it? Whereas a cup can lie a lot over 6 games, 7 games, and that. I think he's got more than the capability to put us onto the direction that we need to go and keep it steady for a couple of years to then take it from there. If everyone's talking about wanting to go for this process and it's not a 5-minute job, I think he's a much more gifted manager in the aspect of, like you said, basically what I say, playing with the cards he's got, knowing how to use what he's got when he's got it. And I think put the money down on the table, he'll walk quite easily. Same
can I show you guys
something?
something?
The others.
Let me show you this, guys, right? This is the Brentford salaries, right? Look at this. If I've given it the big build-up, you'd think I'd probably have it ready to go, wouldn't you? Here we go. Have a look at these salaries, right? Brentford's highest paid player, if you can see that. Hang on, let me blow that up a little bit for you. Brentford's highest paid player, go away, is Aaron Hickey on 70,000 a week. Let that sink in. Archie Gray is on 75 grand a week at Tottenham. Just as a benchmark, right? Yeah. Their highest paid player is on 70 grand a week. And then only one other player, which is Ben Mee, who's coming to the end of his contract, is on over 50k a week, right? If we go down, have a look. Lewis Potter, 50. Yeah, Mbuemo, 45. Norgard, 40. Damsgaard, 35. Flecken, 30. Janelt, look, Johan Visser is on 25. So the players they're getting now, let me show you this. This was their summer, right? This was their summer, right? Bear in mind, this is a team that are currently 7 places above Tottenham, 14 points above us, I don't even know how many seats in that new G-Tech Community Stadium. Anyone know?
17,000.
17,000 seater stadium, right? Have a look at this. This is what they did in the summer. Here we go. Brentford, all transfers. Right. Have a look at this, right? So not only did they lose David Raya, right, who was one of their main players, and Ivan Toney, who was their main player, right? Look at the names that he's bringing in. Vandenberg, Gustavo Nunes, Coyote, Igor Thiago, Fabio. Look at these names, guys, right? Look at those signings. So look at the signings compared to what has actually gone out the club in terms of Tony, Raya, etc. Now, when people say to me, I wouldn't want him, look what this manager does on an absolute shoe budget, right? Right? Have a look at, this is how much they spent. They spent 98 million euros. So if I have a look at, 1 second, 98 million euros in pounds.
Well, it's 6 into 98, 16, it's about 80 million.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, hold on. In euros.
You know the reason I asked Google was because it's giving me the answer. 83 million pounds, right, is what they spent. Now let's have a look how much they sold, right? So they sold, what's that? About 74 million pounds, 74 million euro pounds worth. So what, about 60 million? So they've, with a 30 million pound net spend, roughly, right?
Not even that.
A 30 million pound net spend. Look at the names that are coming in. And this man has got them 1 point off European football, right? They've just beaten Forest and United back-to-back in 1 week. I'm sorry. I want a manager like this, guys. That's what I want managing my club. I want a manager like that.
100%. When you show it like that, Savva, I mean, what a good job he's doing, eh? A fantastic job he's doing. I didn't know any of those names, those signings he's brought in, and the wages of those players. What was it? Who was on 25? Visser.
Yeah, Johan Visser, who's got 18 Premier League goals.
I mean, come on. If anybody wouldn't take Frank as a manager, come on. They have to take a hard look at themselves. He would come into this team and he would sort it out straight away. He would. And this is the worry, isn't it, with Ange? What has he been doing since he's been at the club? And anybody in that club who's watching this in the football side has allowed it to continue this long. It's unbelievable. There's absolutely nothing at all that you can actually say, look, I can see that is working. That is getting better. That's improving. That play has got better, hasn't it?
No, look,
And
this goes
nothing.
deeper, Dan. In my opinion, this goes much, much deeper than that.
Go on.
I've just been looking at things a bit different over the past few months. I think Levy had all this shit planned. Not quite like this, but he saw it weren't going to work after about 12, 13 games. Whether we know he's crap at football, this and that, the fella ain't thick. I don't care what anyone tells me, yeah? He see this coming. And like I've said, he give a majority of the Spurs fans what they wanted. An attacking manager, if that's what you call him. Gave him money to spend, bought in the players he wanted, didn't sack him before semi-finals, stuck through him through thick and thin to the end. And now he can literally turn around and say to a hell of a lot of fans out there, well, I just did it your way and give you what you wanted. And look what happened. Now shut up and now do one. And where it's dragged us down to a low so much now, yeah, where he's trying to not spend the money on the wages now. If anything, I don't think Levy even wants us to win that Europa Cup.
Right.
For the reason being, yeah,
For the reason
being, yeah, because we are now at that much of a low that even if he does only spend 20 million, 30 million on a player and pays them 50 grand wages, as long as we finish something like 12th or 10th next season, we've done better.
No, but Dan,
the manager he's going to have to get in. He ain't going to be getting in no Conte or nothing like that or anything. I mean,
no. But the Champions League money, Dan, is going to bring in that's big money, and
I'm not disputing.
That's his only metric is dosh.
Yeah, right. But look at it overall, though. No. I think it goes a little bit deeper than that. Personally, it's just a personal opinion. Obviously, he wants Champions League money, but then once he's got the Champions League money in there, then people start looking at him. Well, where is that Champions League money? That Champions League money needs to get, and then the hassle comes out. If we don't get no Champions League money, which we don't need at Spurs to survive, we don't need to sell players. We don't need to get into competition. We don't need to do anything except stay in that Premier League to survive. And I do say survive, not win, survive. Yeah. And there's not many clubs that can actually do that, yeah? He's just cut down even more money that he would have been looked at to spend. And if we go and get an average manager, like I've said, who's going to make this manager look, well, this manager would make an average manager look absolute quality. And he's just made it even easier for the fact that most of us would sit here and justify, okay, 10th is better than 17th. And you got to start somewhere. Because this manager, whoever comes in here, has got a mess and a half to pick up with a team and just the club the way it is at the moment. The next manager that comes in.
Don't you think that for the next manager that comes in, I think it's a massive job, but also I think a very easy job. Yeah. I think it's a very easy job because any manager that comes in with half a system won't have us anywhere near 16th, 17th. Like, exactly. I don't care what anyone says. When we talk about, oh, but I don't like Basuma, and oh, but I don't like Kulu, and oh, but I don't rate this player. Look at these teams that are 14. I mean, I've said Brentford are 14 points above us, right? Bournemouth are 15 points above us. Aston Villa are 22 points above us. Nottingham Forest are 22 points above us. Newcastle United, right? Newcastle United are 25 points above us. We are, what's that? 8 wins? 9 wins behind these teams, right? At the beginning of the season, when we talked about, who's going to finish where, I was hearing from everyone that we're going to finish above Newcastle. We're going to finish above Villa. We're going to finish above Brighton. So for me, I think it's an easy job for whoever's coming in, but also a very hard job because we've got fans like the fan I just brought up there that was like, I wouldn't want Frank because they're reliant on set pieces. which I think is hilarious. They've scored 62 goals this season. 62. They've got one less goal than Tottenham Hotspur. 62 goals. And I don't remember all of them, Buemo and Vissa's 19 goals each or whatever they've got being set pieces. You know, but that's what we want. We're now at a stage where we've got so many fans that don't want a manager that's organised. They just want to fly forward. Forget whether you use the word attacking, because I don't think we're an attacking football team. There's a difference between flying forward and actually being an attacking football team. So, Lubo, for me, I was just using Frank as the example, right? It's not like, yes, we've got to get Thomas Frank. I think the next manager coming in has got a very, very easy act to follow. I do. I think they've got an easy act to follow. Whereas other managers have had to follow Jose, Conte, Poch.
He hasn't exactly, as all he's got to do is basically get us in 10th place, and basically we've improved.
And
like
our fan base have shown, Dan, they don't care if we're 17th. All this new manager's got to do is get you mid-table, and our fans will lap it up.
It's what I said to you before. In some aspects, I think this manager coming in has got a very hard job to deal with. And that's mainly, if anything, picking brains up off the floor, not necessarily players, because I think most of them are now brain dead as well, just to the whole season, what's happened, the way they've played, everything. But winning the fan base over, again, I won't say it's an easy job as what Ange had, but as all he's going to have to do is just be an average manager with a bit of common sense, and I'm going to sit back and be happy. And if he finishes in 10th place, which he should be more than capable with this team, he's done his job. And I don't think he's going to get much stick for it.
Listen, whoever the next manager is, for me, I've just witnessed for the last 2 years the worst manager I've seen in 60 years of following Tottenham.
Agreed.
So anybody really who's half decent, you know, you can't say everybody's going to be an improvement, because you've got to make sure you get the right manager. But the majority of the managers who are in the Premier League are going to do a much better job. What we want is somebody who can take us. There is a ceiling at the club with these owners, because they're not prepared to take the risk and take us on to challenging. We got lucky with Poch. Paul Mitchell brought in a very good squad. Poch finished off with Toby and Sonny, and then Wanyama, and we had a really good squad. We had a very good first 12 or 13, but we didn't quite get over the line, did we? I think with a squad of 17, 18, had Poch been back properly, then I think we'd have got over the line. I.e., Sadio Mane joining the season before Chelsea, you know, in between Leicester and Chelsea. You know, if he'd have lifted the wage cap and brought Mane and Wijnaldum in, then I think obviously that would have been a big plus. Two very good players that went on to have very good careers at Liverpool. But
even a team, sorry, go on.
But I just want someone who can take us up towards that, heading towards that ceiling of maybe fourth. If we get into the Champions League, then that will make life a lot easier for a new manager, because there will be extra funds. And this squad does need it's if you bring Glasner in, you've got a lot of the players there that suit the system. If you bring a manager in who plays four at the back, then I think you've got to be looking at maybe one or two fullbacks we're short of. Midfield needs strengthening. Up front definitely needs strengthening. So we're quite a way. I did say several months ago I didn't think this squad, even allowing for Ange's chaos, I didn't think the squad was as good as people thought, and I stand by that. But I think this squad would be much higher if we had a proper manager.
If it was played in the right formation.
Yeah.
I stated this clear as day to everyone over a year ago now, well over a year ago, said, no, this is the wrong way to play this team. And that, again, there's people saying, well, what would you know? You're not a manager or whatever. Well, I've done my bit of coaching as well. And I know my basics, at least on the football, and some of it is just common sense to me. Yeah, it's not even about having a clue about being a manager or not. This team has got a 5 at the back, 3 at the back, whatever you want to call it, 3-4-1-2, 3-4-2-1, 5-2-2-1, whatever way you want to describe it. Yeah, this team all over it has got direct, fast counter-attacking football all over it.
Mhm.
I can go and name you that team now, and I can make that team look 10 times better on paper. Obviously, you'd have to see it deliver than what Ange does with his one. We go stick Dragusin in the middle, use him as the no-nonsense centre-back, which he is. Do there, nothing else, defend. Then you've got Van der Ven on the left at the moment, Romero on the right. And then you can use them as wing backs or either push them up on the side with Porro, Udogie, Spence. Then you've got the choice in the middle. Then you've got Maddison up front. And then you can have either two strikers in front of him or have Maddison play alongside Kulusevski with Solanke up there. Play that on a counter. I'll bet £1,000 on this table here and now. We will do significantly better if we just even change the bloody formation.
Yeah, yeah.
That essentially what you're just saying. Forget who's where, but essentially this.
Yeah, that is how I would play personally. The only difference I would have there is I'd have Kulusevski in there instead of Son, and then
Yeah. This was just a mock-up.
Or the other way you can do it is like the way you said before with two Son, Solanke, Maddison there. That one I think would work a treat as well. Now, whether you want to use Porro and Udogie as wingers or wing back, what's the bloody difference? It's just a wing back 6 forward a bit more. When you got 3 at the back, you're that bit safer, ain't you? You go and put that team playing that way, which literally matches every player on there, bar maybe one. I think that's half the problem solved. More than half the problem.
I agree. Look, guys, let me move the conversation just quickly before we do. Guys, terrible likes. There's over 500 of you in it, only 164 likes. It's free, guys. It's free, and it really, really does help. If you haven't subscribed as well, please do. That would be much appreciated. We've only had one new subscriber all evening, and there's over 500 of you in here. So come on, let's smash that button, please. Big up to the 2 Mark show said there's only one manager that can save us, and he's with the US. I wonder who you are talking about, Sheriff. Well, listen, we'll see. I think I would have had Poch back, but I think that we'll miss him by a year because there's no way I'm waiting another year for him to be available. But big up to you, Mark. Guys, I want to talk about Maddison. Lots of reports that are coming out in the last half an hour, literally since we started this show, said that it's a suspected MCL for James Maddison. So that's going to be to do with his knee ligaments, and that they reckon the season is over and it's going to be 2 to 3 months minimum. Now, that's not been verified, but this is the same source. You know, like we like a source, don't you? We like a bit of HP that said about Bergval the other day. Same source that said about all the other players when they were getting injured. So I've got no reason to believe this isn't true. Guys, James Maddison, for me, when he doesn't play, I don't think Spurs play. I think we are that bad that without Maddison's creativity, I think we are awful. I'll come to you, Dan, with this first.
Oh, yeah.
How big a miss is James Maddison? How much now do I think people that haven't rated him all year need to actually start appreciating it? And can we go and win a Europa League without Maddison and his creativity?
I mean, what awful news. I mean, Ange said today in his press conference, didn't he? It doesn't look good.
Yeah.
So we're not going to have him. And look, I do have hope for that Europa League still. I do have hope. I'm not saying we can win it, but we got a chance. And you need Maddison. Yes, you need him. We're so reliant on him. If he's not in the side, I mean, you look at Kulusevski, he's not playing well. I mean, what are we going to do, especially if we get to that final, you know, and you're going to need your best players to create things and make things happen. We saw how poor we were the other day when Maddison came off the pitch.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, we have a manager who does not manage well without certain players. You know, he's not a manager who will find solutions to this sort of problem. So you look at the team and you think, well, who's going to be the guy? Who's going to get us over the line? And there's literally no one. Obviously, Son in the past, he could do it, but he's not the same player anymore. I mean, I just don't know how we're going to attack in any way, shape, or form. So that's my take of it at the moment. But devastating news, guys. Really, that's probably the worst thing today. Other than that, obviously that boring performance, but that news today. I mean, talk about devastating, eh?
I mean, Danny, let me actually Dan, Luba, both of you, whoever. Dan's right. When he came off the other night, I felt we lost all. He's the glue for me. He's that one player that's got the vision. He's that one player that when he gets the ball, he's always on the half turn. He's always looking to spray balls right, spray them left, play forwards in, brings others into the game. He's a. I was always taught this. I know this sounds weird. He's a footballer. You know, some footballers are. They run around. He's a player. Like he's a proper footballer's brain. How big a miss, chaps, is James Maddison?
Go on in.
You can't replace him. I'm gonna. If Madders is out for the season, it sounds. If you look at No Smoke Without Fire, it sounds as though his season's done. Then I'm going to come out with something very outside the box now. I'm going to do an Eddie Howe.
No, Archie Gray won't work up there.
You're going to
No. I'm not talking about Archie Gray. Archie Gray is certainly not a 10. When Eddie Howe was asked why he played Lewis Miley when he had more experienced players that he could play in that position last season when they had all those injuries, Howe turned around and said, "I'm going to play a round peg in a round hole. I could play more experienced players in that position, but that's not their position. So I'm going to play Lewis Miley." And Miley at the time was only 17. We had a number 10 who is vastly inexperienced, but I believe if we can get through Thursday, and that's going to be probably a defensive 90 minutes for us, then I would stick Mikey Moore in at 10 against Palace, and I would put him in against Villa because he is the only 10 in the club, the only one that can play that position. We have nobody else. Kulu, since he came back, is so far off the levels from earlier this season. I'm sorry, he is not the answer. So we're going to play. We're going to play someone who is out for. We've got to have. Listen, tell an Odebear and not creating. No, it wouldn't surprise me. If Son is back. Donnelly would be perfect if he was at the club to slot in at that 10, but he's at Orient at the moment. And Moore is the only.
He's 10. Got bigger fish to fry in the playoffs.
He has.
Bigger
he
fish
certainly
to fry
does.
Down there in League One.
Beating Charlton in the final. Let's hope.
Nah, not my Charlton. Not my Charlton. Say it quietly. The training ground's just over there. Literally, I can see the training ground from my house.
I mean, the thing is with what you're saying there, I can go with what you're saying, but if this Europa is that important that it could basically save our next 3 seasons to an extent, then do you just go and take Mikey Moore out of nowhere and just drop him in the middle of it? Yeah, that is what people are going to ask. Kulusevski is an international player. He has not been good since he got back. But I've told everyone from day one, he's a number 10 and he's a bloody good one at that. He's just not a playmaker. He's not a playmaker. There's 2 types of different 10. That's why I said he's not a playmaker. Watch how he actually plays for Sweden. He plays as at number 10. He usually plays with back to goal, gets it, turns, charges forward, then passes it whatever way he's got to do. Sure. Yeah, he's not one who sits back and has got the eye for it all. He's just not quick enough on his feet with that. He's not even a slow player. It's just he's got no acceleration on him whatsoever. So you would have to change the idea of what you wanted to do a bit if you're going to put Kulusevski in there, basically, because it can work, but then you've got to change a little bit of your system. This is what we mean by adapting. Because we haven't got another player even close to Maddison with the how shall I put it? With the football IQ he's got, I think is the right way to put it. Yeah. Sure. Yeah. Now, for me, Maddison, I think he's a good player. I mean, first time I ever came on your show, Savva, I was telling you we got to go for him because I remember debating with others saying that we wouldn't get him over Newcastle and that. I think he's a little bitch. And he is a little bitch. When it ain't going his way, he gets right moody on the pitch and everything, and he needs a good slap round the face sometimes. But as an overall player, the quality he's got and the skill he's got and got an eye for a ball, the second he's not on there, You just literally see the whole attack just fall to pieces because then there is literally no connection between midfield and attack. Just nothing at all. And Kulu is just not that sort of player. He's more of a sort of box-to-box 10 sort of thing. I'd look at him as sort of thing. He's not a playmaker. I mean, you could even play him in the middle when he's done well there, but we haven't got another player.
That, Dan, as well? Do you know how you know that? If you watch the speed of when James Maddison gets a ball, straight away he's looking up back. He's scanned. He gets it and gives it.
Yeah.
Kulu, for me, whilst I think he's a good player, he wants forever on the ball. He wants so long, and his decision-making for me is what stops him being a top player. He's a good player. I know people go, oh, you don't rate Kulu. That's not what I've said. He's a good player. But for me, I think he's a bit, I know this sounds mad. I think he's a little bit lightweight. Like when I watch him play, he gets knocked off the ball way too easily. But you are right, Dan. It will be Kulu. Lubo, I'm not saying your theory hasn't got merit.
I agree. It will be Kulu, but it should be more. They should throw him in for 2 games at Palace and Villa, see how he does. Seriously, he moves the ball quickly. You can see he's got quick feet. Kulu, the ball goes to him. He slows the whole thing down every time. There's nothing fast about Kulu. You know,
there is. If you actually watch him play from midfield, the problem is with Kulu is if you actually go on the Spurs speed charts and that, he's quicker than Basuma. He's faster than Basuma over a distance. His biggest letdown is he has got no acceleration on him whatsoever.
Agreed.
It'd take all day to get from 1 to 60, basically, yeah? Whereas the other one can do 60. He can actually run 80, but it just takes him so long to bloody get to it. His acceleration is awful. And to be in that part of the pitch and whatever, you need to be quick, not even fast. You don't need to be the fastest person out there. But if you can get to 0 to 60 in a matter of 2 footsteps, that's where it helps being on the wing. He just doesn't play that way. Look how Sweden play him. Look how Juventus did him when they stuck him in the middle. Maybe this is where our manager needs to have a look and maybe adapt a couple of things, but we know he doesn't when it comes to that sort of thing. Because we are going to miss Maddison in a big way. We've got to find another way to get some sort of creativity up there. And if that means with him playing as a number 10 where he charges through people to just put the ball across for one of the insides to come in and try and tap it, then fine. But he's going to need that little bit of space to do that as well. But then the way he's played of late, can he even pull that off at the minute? I don't know. It's just ideas.
Yeah, look, the way I see it, guys, is look, this guy takes a lot of stick, James Maddison. But I think sometimes you realise how good a player is when he's not there, right? Sometimes we take players for granted. And when I watch Maddison play, I'm not saying everything he tries comes off, but he's an ideas man. He's a, let's get on with it quickly, man. He's a, can I thread a ball to the left and go and get it again? And do you know what? When I was coaching years and years and years ago, I remember I worked with this coach who always used to say, it's all about the wall pass. I was like, what do you mean? It was like, I love those players who give it and then go and get it again as though they were passing it to themselves off of, you know, when you're a kid and you just pass it against the wall, right? Maddison does that. Maddison's the one that gives the ball. I'm going to go and get it again. We've got a lot of players that don't do that. They'll give the ball and then shy away. And for me, have we got, it might not be as big a problem in Bodo, because I think in Bodo, we're probably going to have to do a lot of defensive work. However, if Bodo were to go 2-0 up, I'm not saying they will, I'm just saying if, because I know I'll get clipped and everyone will, Savva said we're going to go 2-0 down. You know what's going to happen. If we were, I then worry about, well, how would we claw back? Who do we then get on the ball that takes a game by the scruff of the neck and says, I'm going to dictate, I'm going to play? Because, Lubo, you called it. You're getting no creativity from the wide men. Like nothing. There's no, sorry, I know people get annoyed at me. I know people are constantly trying to hype up Tell and Odeber. I don't see any creativity from them. They go hiding. Son, if he plays, well, how long's he been out now? He's going to be rusty, and it was in no sort of form anyway. You know, Porro is going to be.
I think Sonny will be back Thursday. I just got a sneaky feeling that he'll be back Thursday.
Sure, but how fit? His form wasn't good before. So
Yeah.
I'm just looking in that game. And then if you get through that and get to the final, who's unlocking that? Who's unlocking Man United? Who's unlocking that? Because they'll have a 3-man midfield. They've got 3 centre-backs. Who's threading those balls? Who's creating? I'm just concerned.
Well, if you're talking about sort of jumping ahead to a hypothetical final, for me, you'd be better off playing Porro further up, Spence at right back, because Porro can put balls in and play Solanke and Richie to win those balls in the air. And that's how, for me, that's how you would unlock Man United. Because if you haven't got a Maddison, he's not going to play a Moore. Kulu is not going to be that player who gets a ball quickly and plays those lovely reverse passes that Maddison does. So you've got to attack it from the wings. So you've got to work your strengths. Solanke and Richie are both good in the air, and Porro can cross a ball beautifully. He's the best crosser of ball in our club. So for me, I push Porro into that right wing position. Johnson can get a goal. Johnson takes his goals very well, but it gives you nothing else. And I think in a cup final, you cannot carry a player like that. You just can't.
Yeah, I mean, Danilist, look, again, we haven't had it confirmed, but like the way that he went down, you could see he was holding his knee. Ange said it doesn't look good, especially with Bergvall having been out, a few days earlier. What would you do? What would be your scenario, Dan? To what midfield forward line you picking? How are you setting up in those games without Maddison?
Look, all these teams have magic men or very creative players. If you go through the Premier League, they've all got somebody, who can do something. Eze, pulls out goals out of nowhere. You could just go through all the teams. I'm not going to do it now.
Yeah.
The worry is that where is the magic? Where is the game changer? Other than Maddison, we've got very little. I mean, Bergvall showed glimpses, but again, he's out.
Again, not a creator or a goal scorer, is he? He's a good driving midfielder, but he hasn't created. I think he's got, is it 1 assist this season? Maybe, I'm not sure. I'll have a look, but
it's not going to look pretty now. This next game against Bodo, if we get to the final, it's not going to look pretty at all. It's going to be a game of set pieces, hoping a cross pulls off, playing 2 strikers up front, Richie and Solanke, and just trying to get that ball out wide, crosses in the box, get somebody coming in, running in from midfield to kind of finish a goal. We've seen Basuma do it before, Bentancur, but it's going to be now really, if we look at it, it's a team within themselves wanting to drive the results over the line by just pure wanting it. And that will only take you so far, I know that. But I just can't see us suddenly solving this solution. Ian says more. Yeah, why not? You've got nothing to lose, yeah? You just don't know. Ange won't do it. We'll see Kulu play. We'll say Johnson on the right. If Son's fit, we'll see Son and Solanke. And then it's just, where is that magic coming from? And it's just going to be such a painful watch, guys. Such a painful watch.
Well, it is. We're gonna shit our way to a trophy if we can get there. If we can get through past Bodo Glimt, and that's a tough game. Now without Maddison,
you're not allowed to say that, Lubo. You're not allowed to say they're a tough game. I found that out the hard way.
That's a tough game. That goal on Thursday changed the whole complexion of the tie.
It did
completely. And without Maddison now, for me, it's God knows. I mean, you can't call it. You just can't call it. First goal is crucial for me.
Again,
if we get the first goal, I think with the 3-goal lead, we should have enough. But otherwise, if they go 1 up and he's got Kulu there, and he'll drop Richie, he'll bring Solanke back. He'll drop Odebear, he'll bring Johnson back. He'll play Tell if Son's not fit. Where the goal's going to come from, unless it's a phenomenal ball. You know, you saw two great passes on Thursday night from very deep, from Romero and from Porro. The first one Maddison put over, the second one Maddison scored.
Yeah, that's a point.
Yeah. But you're not going to see Kulu making those runs from behind, picking up those long balls, are you?
No.
So the way I would try and suss this as a manager, again, it's always buts and maybes, and we know Ange ain't going to do it. I would then probably try and start my creativity from a bit lower on the pitch, and we have got a player that is capable of that. Benson Core, not the best, but he used to play as a DM all the time and a deep line playmaker. Keep him up to more the halfway line, then I know we have the other problem to solve behind us as such. But then start getting him at least pumping the balls forward, and Porro from the side pumping the balls forward, to who I'd have then Kulusevski there as my sort of target shadow striker sort of thing at the same time. You know, like what Dele Alli used to do at times. And just try and get the ball in front of him so he can get forward and give it a pass or give it a shot. It's just clutching at straws, because apart from that, I really don't see no creativity in that team, apart from Porro. Obviously, Maddison goes without saying, and I would probably say Bentancur is probably our next most creative player.
Yeah.
Well, look, let's. Go on.
The ones that Maddison was making are reminiscent of what Dele Alli did,
Right.
aren't they? They
are
from Toby.
But Maddison wants to score. Maddison wants to get in the box. Maddison wants to create. This is why whenever we've had these conversations all season about Maddison or Kulu, for me, I don't care where Kulu plays, Maddison has to play. Like I've said this the whole time. We're the only club that had a playmaker that most weeks don't get him in playmaker positions. He's got to play for me, Lubo, right? But let's talk about this second leg Thursday night. Look, I make us favourites. I know I keep being told that I'm lying, but I make us favourites. Of course, we've got a 2-goal lead. That goal, like you said, Lubo, it does jar the door open. It does let a little bit of sunlight in for them. You were spot on what you said this morning on our WhatsApp group. Whoever gets that first goal, that is massive, because if Bodo get that goal, that their fans are going to be in dreamland. Their players, you saw the boost the goal gave them the other night. Now this will be the goal at their ground. However, there's two sides to every story. If we get a goal first, that's game done for me. If we get a goal first and you're saying to them, come on then, you've got to break us down, you've got to get 3 to draw the game, I think it's done. So with that in mind, what would you guys do? Do we go there and try and go gung-ho? Are we going to attack? Are we going to adopt more of a Frankfurt type performance? What do you reckon?
I think we have to go counter-attack. Go counter-attack. Not go all in, not sit back as such, but take it on a counter, because they have to bring the ball. They have to score. There is no ifs or buts about it. We don't. They have to. And then when a team keeps pressing you, and if we've got a majority of that team on there who do play a lot better under a counter-attacking direct style of football, which they've proven it a few times this season, because every good game we seem to win, it's always when we're not using inverted wing backs, sitting a bit deeper and then counter-attacking direct ball forward. I think that's the way we got to do it. Not just sit back and shut up shop, not from day. If it gets to the last 15 minutes, whatever, then yeah, shut the shop, do what you got to do, whatever else. But I think if we just go out there with, okay, we've got control of the game at the moment. We're 2 goals up, nothing stupid. Wait for your chance sort of thing. That is more how I would do it, like a counter-attacking play, basically.
Look, I agree, Dan. I agree, definitely. We need a performance like Frankfurt. You know, defensively strong, but it wasn't just that. It was the players. There was definitely that they wanted it, that game. They showed up. They were getting stuck in. They're giving it all, trying to win the 50-50s. You could see there was like there was something different about that Spurs team that day that we haven't seen enough all season. Now, there are a few concerns for me. Now, I've been watching a bit of their highlights and seeing some of their games, and a lot of their attacks do come down from that left. So Porro's going to need protection. And also, who's that player? Their playmaker. What's his name? Berg, is it? What's the guy that they missed last week?
Oh,
No, the
Patrick
playmaker
Berg.
guy.
Patrick Berg, who Ian doesn't rate. He is quality.
Yeah.
Just kidding,
Watch
Ian.
him.
Just kidding. Patrick Berg he's the conductor of the orchestra for them.
Yeah.
Dan. Whenever I watch them play, I'm like, this lad can play.
So somebody has got to be on him. It's got to be on him. Yeah, and shut him down.
Like man to man.
Yep. So important, guys. But it's just going to be their intensity on Thursday. That's what the difference is going to be. They're going to go for it. They're going to push us. They're quite tricky around the box. When I've seen them, I saw them against Lazio. You know, they've played really well. And we're going to have to be back to the wall sort of stuff, defending. You know, we're going to have to get a bit of luck, and then you're just going to have to hope, because we're a moments team, Spurs, right? We play with moments. We don't consistently attack well. We don't have good patterns. But what we do is that we have a goal in a moment, like we did the other day, I think. You know, we saw that Porro ball over the top. We saw the first goal in under a minute with Richie just knocking it across the goal, and Johnson was in the right place. We can do that, and we can do that on Thursday. So it's a game which is left in the balance. I wouldn't say we're favourites. I just not convinced with this team that we've got the strength to go through. Although
hang on. Favourites to win on the night, Dan, or favourites to qualify?
Qualify through? No, I don't think so. I don't think so. I just think this team, if you look at their record, look who they've beaten in Europe, they normally win games by 2 goals.
Two at home, they at least 2.
Exactly. So this game is on a knife edge, and we just don't want to concede an early goal, and we've got to show something in an attacking sense. We can't sit back the whole game waiting it out. Yeah, Ange has got to come up with some kind of plan to counteract what they're going to do, and I'm worried because we know what Ange is like. He's just got one style of play. So, guys, this could go either way.
Yeah, I mean, it's guys. I think we're winning the Europa. I've said it all along. I think not all along, but I've said it the last few months. When I saw the draw, if you guys remember when we saw the draw of who's playing who all the way to the final, that made my mind up. Like, oh, I think we've had this quite nice. Does anyone here think we won't win it?
Yeah. I don't think
we're going to win the Europa.
I say we can, but I just don't. There's nothing that gives me confidence, especially now losing Maddison. Maddison is so key to us, and you look across that team and you just think, well, where's that clutch goal coming from? Where's that? You know, it does concern me. I've got to be honest.
I mean, for me, like I said, we've shown we are best at counter attack. And if we sit back that little bit deeper, take what they've got.
That is for Sean. Sorry, just quickly, Dan. That is for Sean. No one else. That you're not coming on. That is for Sean. Okay, just for Sean.
We've got the capability to soak up a bit of what they throw at us, but it's catching them on the counter with the right pass at the right time. And usually, to catch on a counter, you don't need a Maddison because it usually starts deeper. You need that person from lower. I.e., like I said, a Benton core, try and get your playmaker, use him as more the midfielder than the number 10 sort of thing, and get the playmaking as such start from there. Get that direct ball start from the back with Porro or Benton core in there, and then just get it forward when you've got the chance and take your chance on goal. Take your shot. Don't try and just walk it into the net. Take your bloody chances. And I think that's how we can do them. If we go out there and just shut up shop.
Would you pack the midfield like without Maddison and having a playmaker? Would you almost go for 3 in there, like a Basuma, Bentancur, and Sarr? You know, almost like pack the midfield with legs and just be hard to beat because
yes,
you know, I feel like if we do that, we stifle them. The longer they go without scoring, the happier we're going to be. And like you said, we don't have to score.
Exactly. So we just need a manager, which we lack at the minute, with what I think it's not even knowledge about football. It's just bloody common sense. It's just common sense. Just go for the counter attack with them. when the teams we have beat this year, when we've actually looked good, every single one of those games has been without using inverted wing backs, the bit that I always bring up because that is what has screwed us from day one since he's been with us, and just playing counter-attack direct football.
Yeah.
That is when we have looked at our best.
Yeah. Yeah. Look, I agree. I mean, welcome, Sean. Welcome to the show. How are you, buddy? You all right?
Yeah, good boys. How's everyone doing?
Good.
Yeah.
Good. Yeah. We're all wide awake after that riveting performance today between Spurs and West Ham.
I literally fell asleep in the second half. Legit fell asleep. I went to bed and I was like, oh, this isn't worth it. I'm just going to have a go.
I was doing a
never done that before in my life.
I would have fallen asleep. Sean, we're at the Bodo Glimt portion of the show, and obviously it comes off the back of the news. I think everyone is waiting to be confirmed of James Maddison. Looks like he's going to be another one to miss. We are the favourite. I mean, I contrary to belief, I do think we are still the favourites, and I still think we will win the Europa League. But as someone who's going to Bodo, how are you feeling about the game in general? And did that late goal for Bodo just change the mechanics slightly of what could have been a nicer game, I suppose, rather than oh God, we've opened the door for them type thing?
Yeah, like selfishly, I wanted there to be something in it because I wanted there to be a little bit of jeopardy. But like when I was saying that, I wanted it to be like 4-0, where I think even Tottenham couldn't screw this up, but you just don't know. But at 3-1, it's a little bit too close for comfort. And I think that, I was really disappointed with the way it finished on Thursday. They were that bad, and we were just a little bit better. I don't think we was particularly special, apart from a couple of really good moments. I thought Pedro Porro, his little moment of magic, and Maddison was sensational. Right? But like obviously losing Maddison's massive. Decky's nowhere near the version of him. I think that people say he's got 4 lungs. I think he goes too hard in the first half of the season. I think he works so over the top, like he sort of lung-busting effort, and he doesn't leave anything in the locker for the second half of the season. So I'm a little bit concerned about that. But look, I think that it kind of forces a certain strategy now, and that to me would be like against Bodo. I think because of the pitch anyway, I think that it's better if we just go aerially, do what we currently do, right? Get it back to Pedro Porro, whip the ball in all day long when we have it, and then just throw monsters up there, right? Decky's decent in the air. Romero from corners is handy. Bentancur's handy with corners. Obviously, Richarlison's a threat. And Solanke, even though he's not known for his aerial threat of late, has been a bit more dangerous in that regard. So I think you've got 4 or 5, maybe even 6 players in that team that can do a little bit in the air. So I think that takes out the pitch, right? Takes out that kind of variable. So I think that's the way that you strategize for Thursday. And obviously you just get super tight and organized defensively, and you hope that that there's no banana skins. Now, and I think what you then do is use the next 2 weeks. I think you've got 2 games, maybe. I'm not sure if it's 2 or 3 games in between. 2 games, is it? Yeah. 2. So I think that you
nice easy one at Villa Park, I believe. Nice. Is one of them Villa Park?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think you would use that time, given that Maddison's out. I hate the word experiment at this crucial stage, but for all intents and purposes, experiment a little bit with Pedro Porro in a more advanced role, because I look at that team and think, without Maddison and with Decky off form like he is, I don't know where the creativity comes. And that, like, presuming we get past, obviously, Bodo. If we don't get past Bodo, then it doesn't matter. But if we do get past Bodo, then before the final, assuming it's going to be United, without Maddison, I think that you're going to need a bit more technical graft, and that to me makes more sense to let Pedro Porro be slightly more advanced than he is. So you could maybe go with like Jed Spence on the right and then put Pedro Porro slightly more advanced, or even into, I don't know, like I say, put him into one of the 8s. I don't want to get too crazy with the experiment, but I just think that you're going to need technical graft to replace Maddison. And when I look through the team, I don't see much of it. And I think Pedro Porro is the best option.
Basically, Sean, what I'm taking in what you're saying is pretty much what I've said. Go counter, but you're saying do it more long ball than direct sort of thing.
Like against Bodo. Yeah, just get the ball off the floor, mate. I think that the floor is going to be a weird little, Ange is right when he says that those pitches are all kind of unique. and then you only get like 6 hours on the day beforehand to practice with it, or not even that, 3 hours. It's not very much. So let's just try and remove the variable, right? Just bang it in the air, get it to do Brennan Johnson down the right or whatever, and then pull it back and then just whip it in. Like
Would
we've
you
been doing.
would you do almost what he did, Sean, for the first leg, with which I thought worked in the first half, having Richie coming from the left, Solanke through the middle, but Richie didn't. When I say from the left, it wasn't like he was playing out wide. He was drifting into that inside channel and was quite a nuisance because of his... Listen, I don't rate him. I don't rate him as a technical player, but he's a nuisance. He's good in the air. He kept the ball alive. Would you almost do something like him and Solanke both against Bodo and pack the midfield and try and get it up to them?
100%. That's the only way you can... I think it's the most logical thing to do. And I don't really give Ange a lot of credit for like creative thinking outside the box, all that sort of. I don't do that, but of late, I even said it on Thursday night. I was like, it's weird time to be experimenting with Richie off the left. And look, but it paid dividends in the first minute of the game, right? Like it was a really well worked move. And then the second goal was also a little bit different to what we usually see. So like, needs must. And I think that what we did with Richie up there, I don't think he has to necessarily be as wide as he was, because I think he was wasteful. After that first goal, he was very unselfish and he had the ball back across to Johnson. That's what Johnson does. Yeah. Like you can't take anything away from Brennan Johnson. His input is terrible, but his output is really, really good. He knows where to be at the right time to finish someone else's dinner. And when it comes to the crunch end of the competition that we're in, that stuff is invaluable, right? So I think the team sort of picks itself with the injuries. Losing Lucas is a massive issue, but to me, I just think you've got to use Richie, you've got to use a Solanke, you've got to go aerial, and then also when we get corners, you have to make use of some of them because we get too many corners and don't do enough damage. But we got to take advantage, get the ball off the floor, and see if we can get an early goal.
Our set piece record's awful. It's dreadful. Yeah, you look at was it Forest? We got in 51 crosses.
Yeah,
and Richie scored after 88 minutes.
Yeah, that's all right. So we just need to double that output. We just need to get 102 crosses in against Bodo and grab a couple of goals. But guys, let me ask you. I mean, we're very good at this in England. We're very good at absolutely poo-pooing everybody else. Are we belittling? I don't mean all of us, but like as a fan base, are we belittling Bodo? Are we underestimating Bodo? Because
very much.
What we saw from them Thursday night isn't how they play at home. Like it was chalk and cheese to what they normally do at home. Should we be worried? Are we favourites? Are we thinking that the tie is over? Where are you all at with that?
We're 2-0 up. We're favourites through and through.
Yeah, of course.
We're 2-0 up. Yeah, but again, we all know what this manager's like, and we all know what Spurs are like. And if anyone can screw anything up, it is Tottenham. That is just who we are. And that's not just with Ange. That's just been with life in general in the past 25 years of the club, basically. If anyone can screw the moment up, it is Spurs through and through. And I just feel a lot of people, even before that Bodo game, I spoke about it, you spoke about it, or other channels spoke about it, Stell and everyone else. And so many people I see on the chats and everything else, that there was almost like we're already in the final. You don't do that. No, I know, but that's how a lot of people. That's how a lot of people were looking at it. And now we're 2-0 up. I can understand people being more confident. But this is going to be a total different. If you watch any of their football, this is going to be a very different game at their place. Yeah, all right. If we get that early goal, whatever, and that, then to me that's pretty much game over because then we can just shut up shop, literally.
Yeah.
But it's all ifs, buts, and maybes. But I think too many people don't realise how shit Tottenham have been this year and underestimate a lot of other teams. And one thing you don't ever do is take your eye off it. You don't underestimate it, whether it's in the bloody car park or whether it's your issue here, there. You don't underestimate because that's when you end up knocked out on the floor.
Yeah. Anybody else?
That's when you get complacent and let in that goal we did. Last bit in that goal we let in. That's exactly what I mean by underestimating. We got complacent. We thought the job was done. I don't even blame Ange for that goal. That was purely down to the players being complacent for me. They thought the job was done, took their concentration off, and there you go. Give them a lifeline.
For me, what he should have done was brought down someone with about 10 minutes to go and said, right, we're 3-0 up, finished. Funny thing was that we could have scored. We had several attacks in the last 10 minutes and could have scored. But that's what I would have done. I would have said, fine, 3-0, done. That puts us 75% of the way there for me. Now for me, it's 50-50.
Yeah, for me, that's what I would have done as well. 3-0 up, shut up shop. I know people could say we could have gone for the kill, whatever else and that, but 3-0 up is 3-0 up for me. Me personally, I'd have shut up shop and then take it to their place.
And that's where, unfortunately, his blinkered view of football goes against us.
Yeah, I mean, Dan, List?
I just think it was a massive missed opportunity last Thursday. I mean, I've never watched Spurs in an easier semi-final tie I can remember. They were there for the taking in that game. They had players missing. And okay, Maddison affected it when he came off. We lost a bit of rhythm. We lost Solanke. But I think we should have left that match with at least being 3 goals up. And letting that sloppy goal in at the end really, really frustrated me. Because I think we could have got more goals that night. I thought once we got to 3, I thought, go on, push, get another 2. Come on, kill this tie off in this match. Now we've left the door open with that goal, and it's going to be a completely different game on Thursday.
With that, Dan, Danlist, are you surprised? Like, Sean and I were just talking there about, Solanke and Richie both starting the game. I thought that the first half, we looked up for it. I thought we were causing them problems. The tactical change he made by swapping out Richie for Tell, I didn't think worked at all. I thought the second half, we looked really, really powder puff. I didn't think we really looked like scoring. Are you surprised he did that? Because we were 2-0 up. I'm thinking this is going to be 4-0. I'm thinking this is keep attacking them. This is going to be 4-0. We're through. And then he changed it at half time, and I couldn't work out why.
I don't understand it. I mean, Richie wasn't amazing, but he obviously set up the goal. He was working hard. He was involved in the game. He was winning challenges. Tell came on in that second half and literally offered us absolutely nothing. I mean, a better switch would probably been for me, Wilson. But I think the change at half time, why did he have to make that change? Was he worried about Richie getting injured again? It didn't make sense when something kind of worked, didn't it, in that first half?
Yeah, I mean, Sean, what did you make of that? I mean, there was a notable difference in tempo for me from the first half to the second half. Would you have made the change he did with Richarlison coming off and Tell going on?
Well, from what we understand after the fact, it was more around preservation, right? Like not having enough minutes in his legs. Although having said that, he played 90 minutes a few days earlier. So like it was a bit of again double talk from our manager. But I actually disagree a little bit there with Dan's with the Danalist's takes. I thought Richie did well in the first minute. After that, I thought he was largely wasteful with the ball at his feet. I thought he got. I think he ran down into dead alleyways and got. It just got. The ball got caught up a few too many times in his feet, and the right back was there to be had on toast, if I'm entirely honest. And he needed someone with a bit more like sort of razzmatazz. And for what it's worth, like I really like Matisse Tell. I know a lot of people don't. They don't see the output yet, and I get that. I think he's the polar opposite of like Brennan Johnson. I think Brennan Johnson does nothing input and has got all the output, but I think Matisse Tell's got a lot of input, just none of the output yet, and he's got a powder puff shot, right? He's got like pillow feet, which is a little bit frustrating. But in terms of his work rate, in terms of his energy, in terms of his desire to get on the ball and try things, I really appreciate that stuff. In terms of like the momentum of the game, I felt like scoring the first goal should have been a catalyst to go. Everyone take a deep sigh of relief now, and let's go and double down. And as I said on my video, I don't want to like sound like I'm repeating myself, but like I felt like we're supposed to be the Yid army. It was more like the terracotta army from like the 3rd minute until the 30th. We were just statues. Everyone was just standing still. There was no effort to make any kind of to go for it, and it was only because of a magical piece of play from first of all the Cruyff turn from Mickey van der Ven, and then the little shimmy, dangerous place to do it. Love that, and then out to Porro, who puts that delicious ball in, and it's obviously a well-worked training ground move, which happy to see. But if it wasn't for that, I didn't really see where the next goal was coming from in that first half. It just felt really, really sort of lackadaisical. And I do agree with Dan that they were there for the taking. I do agree that we absolutely missed the trick there. We should have scored 4 or 5 goals against them because they really were that bad. But I didn't think Tottenham were that much better, apart from, like I say, a couple of moments. And as far as Richie versus Tell, I know that I'm like most people. I don't know how all of you feel in the comment and the chat, but I genuinely do see something in Matisse Tell, and I really like him in the team. But the only thing I do have is that I don't think he's familiar enough with his teammates yet. And when he's trying little bits and pieces, I don't think there's a lot of chemistry with other players that are in there yet. And I think that sometimes some of the players on the team kind of go, well, we're not sure what you're going to do. Whereas with Sonny, there's more familiarity. I think even Maddison said that in his post-match or pre-match press conference when he was asked about Matisse Tell. I think he said, I just haven't got the relationship just quite yet with him like I do with Sonny, because I know where Sonny's going to be. But those things come with time. I'm sort of like growing into Matisse Tell. I like him. I don't think he's worth 50, 60 million. But I can understand why Richarlison played, and I can certainly get on board him starting on Thursday.
I think it depends what you want to offer on the pitch, basically. I mean, if you want to have someone on there who is a clumsy player, but will give it their all and will be very annoying in that penalty area, piss people off, maybe not score it, but cause a distraction, then Richarlison is the perfect one for that. He is good at that, and he's not bad in the air. But as an overall player, I still, even when I say average, I think I'm being very nice. Tell, we can only say by what we've seen of him as such. And on the ball, only by what I've seen, and I haven't really seen either of them play that much, I think Odobert actually looks better on the ball than Tell, personally.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that either, to be honest. I like Odobert as well. I think both of those players are players that I want to see in this sort of system, not with this manager, but with a 4-3-3.
I definitely see something with Odobert there, in the aspect of, I think he's actually quite good on the ball. Whether he can deliver, shoot, whatever, I don't know. But he does actually look like one of the few who is actually quite good on the ball and got some control of it and willing to take his man on. Mm-hmm. Tell does try and take his man on at times, but he's just as bad as Johnson and just gets pushed out of the way all the time. I find Odobert is a little bit stronger than them two in that aspect with the ball.
Would you not want to see Mikey Moore instead of Tell?
Look, I mean, I've said again. I don't know if this is like repeating myself to your channel, Savva. I'm sure most of these people don't watch me, but on my channel, I say it all the time.
How much do you think they hear repeat stuff from me every day? It's absolutely fine, mate. You crack on.
Yeah, fair enough. I think if you're good enough, you're old. If you're good enough, you're old enough. And so as soon as you're in contention for the first team, which Mikey Moore is, then you have to be compared to everybody else that's in the team, regardless of their age. Especially when you've got a manager that's hanging on, his job's hanging on by a thread. He's not going to give a shit about trying to get this guy ready for 2027. So, do I want to see more of Mikey Moore? Sure. At what stage? Maybe in the Premier League, but I don't think he's done anything of note to think that he's any better or going to do anything more in a game than any of the other wingers that we have. I think that he's...
Can I ask a question, Sean? Can I back on for that?
Flashes of okay, flashes of average, flashes of bad, to be honest. Yeah, go on. Sorry, Savva.
Lubo, I'm going to jump onto this. Feel free to come back in a second. Sean, can I tell you my problem? I have got a very different opinion to you on Tell. I don't see anything in him. For me, I get frustrated that I love that he tries to take his man on. I just think he's very bad at taking his man on. And if you look at the number of successful dribbles per game, it shows. But I'm going to ask this question. Do you not think by us having Tell and Werner on loan, that we're actually stifling Mikey Moore, and the minutes that those two have had combined throughout the season, Tell and Werner, that we would have really progressed Mikey Moore and given him a lot more if he was getting those minutes? Because I don't see anything in Tell where I say you 100% have to start above Moore. That's my concern with it, that we're blocking the pathway of a youngster with another youngster who isn't even ours. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I hear you. I mean, obviously, like Mikey Moore was out injured for the majority of the season, right? He had a horrendous virus. We don't know what it was, glandular fever or something, kissing too many girls, whatever. Comes with the fame, right? Yeah,
I'm
same,
excited.
mate. Same. Gee whiz.
fun.
Give me some glandular fever. At least, I don't mind if I get sick. Just let me have the fun that justifies it, you know?
My wife
Um,
never gives me glandular fever anymore. No fun.
Yeah, Bugsy Malone doesn't kiss me anymore either. It's a nightmare. Yeah, I just think, like, so first of all, I don't know how many minutes he's missed where he's been fully fit and available. Maybe in the last month or two, right? Since he's come back, Ange hasn't fancied him. And again, look, I'm not going to sit here and defend Ange because you know how I feel about Ange. I just don't think he's good enough. I think he talks out of both sides of his mouth to justify one mistake after another. But at the same time, I'm not. You know, like Savva, when you were on my show last week, and we were having the debate about Solanke versus Richie, right? And you had to caveat and say, look, I'm not saying that either of them are particularly great. I'm just saying that one isn't as bad as the other. I'm saying
Who's
the same
less
thing.
shit?
Exactly, right? And I'm not saying that like Mikey Moore's shit or that Tell's shit, but I don't think that the standard is incredibly high for our wingers at our football club across the park, across the board.
Agreed.
And on top of that, like I think there is a lot of positivity bias in our fan base towards Mikey Moore because he's one of our own and because he's a kid. And that's fine. I get it. But I'm coming at it from a perspective of it doesn't matter how old you are. I don't care if you're 17 or you're 27. I want to see the best player that's right for the task on the pitch. And I don't think that Mikey Moore has done that much that warrants his place ahead of anyone else. At the same time, though, I think it's a fair argument to say that Matisse Tell, Odobert or Sonny hasn't exactly taken their chance this season either. So it's not like it's a cut and dry case for me. It's pick your poison, really.
Lupo, did you want to say anything back? I know you.
No. I just think that when you look at Moore, that little cameo Sean against Alkmaar in October, we were 0-0. We were on top quite comfortably, but we weren't actually creating too much. Moore came on, turned his fullback inside out, was creating chances, and within that 15 minutes, we won a penalty. Richie stuck it home for the winner. He put Richie in for that goal when Pickford crashed into him at Everton to bring it back to 3-2. He scored that lovely individual goal against Elfsborg. When he came on today, wasn't fantastic, but he was trying. He was pulled down a couple of times. He put Spence in, and he just gives you that something else. And I was saying before, we don't have a 10 in the club apart from now with Maddison out. Moore is the only player that has played in a 10 in the last couple of years for the academy team, and he is creative and he can beat players. And for me, I don't think we've got anything to lose now. Eddie Howe put Lewis Smiley in round peg into round hole at 17 last year when they had all those injuries, and I just think that Ange, who unfortunately is nowhere near Eddie Howe's level, nowhere near his imagination. He's not innovative like Howe, so he won't play him. But for me personally, if you could get through Thursday night, I would throw Mikey Moore in for the Palace and Villa games. Palace aren't going to want to get.
I'm happy for that. I'm happy to see how he does. Yeah, no problem with that. No
Palace a week before the cup final are not going to be they're not going to be flying into tackles next week. You know, in any stretch. By any stretch of the imagination.
Exactly. Priority game, isn't it? At the end of the day. Right. Even though every game counts and everything, it's priority game, isn't it?
Yeah. But I think he will play Kulu. Kulu unfortunately slows everything down. I'm not saying he's a bad player, he just slows everything. And he does it
selfish, mate. I think his rise to dominance in the first half of the season, with it came a little bit of an inflated ego. I remember around Christmas time seeing him get into so many positions, driving with the ball, and then there were players around him that were in great positions to be laid off to, and he just decided not to. He thought he could do it himself, take on the world. And I remember putting videos out saying, like, mate, you've got to know when to hold them and know when to fold them. You've got to know when to make the right decision.
Yeah.
And he used to have that willingness to like contribute and then release. And now that he's like in that little period at the start of the season when he was delicious, I think with that came a bit of an inflated ego that then thought, I can do it all myself. And I think that has been a bit of a, like you say, he slows things down too much and holds the ball a little bit too long. And the amount, I mean, there was a chance against Bodo when he turned and then took a shot, lay it off to Tell, and it's a tap in 4-0. Thanks very much.
That is why, Sean, I would in the next game as such, not well, expect against Bodo, I would use him as the number 10, but not as a playmaker. I would use him as the shadow striker, basically, like we used to do with Dele Alli, basically. Get the long ball in front of him, like you said, hasn't got the eye for the person around him as much as Maddison, whatever else, and will take it on himself. But if he's a shadow man from that like number 10 position going forward, he isn't going to necessarily get blocked up so much if the ball gets put to him, and he's going to have the chance to do it. Not all of a sudden slow right down and then he's got 5 people standing around him. That's what I mean.
You play him in the 10. Who would you play on the right and the left then for the game?
Well, I would start from the middle, and like I say, Bentancur's my one from the middle that I would use as more the playmaker sort of thing, along with Porro, like you said, putting the long balls over. I'd put Kulusevski as my 10, but wouldn't be playing him as a playmaker.
Right.
I'd be using him more as a shadow man, basically.
Yeah, I don't hate that.
I mean, for me, then it's got to be Johnson on the right, even though I can't stand the bloody player, but he does get in the right place and tap it in the back of the net. He's one of probably 2 Spurs players that can walk off with a little bit of pride this year.
So this is for Thursday, Dan, yeah?
Yeah, but
so Solanke in the 9, Kulu in the 10, Johnson on the right, and Richie on the left.
That is what I could quite happily go for, or
I could go for anyway. I think that's
I could put Richarlison in the middle, and then I don't know. You got the choice of whoever's on the left. I think it's not a bad idea. Johnson starting, especially if we're doing a counter attack, because he's not good at taking his man on or nothing like that. But on his own, he can run, and he does get into the right positions. And if we've got someone like Kulusevski coming forward, who can also take that long shot himself or drill the ball down to either side, Johnson does get there and put the goals in.
But let me ask you, is anyone worried, though, about Johnson? I think Brennan Johnson, this guy's got to be the biggest enigma I think I've ever seen at Tottenham Hotspur.
I can't stand him
because I think he's so bad at football, but has a wonderful knack of getting in the right place and scoring goals. Now, that's great when going forward. My worry, and I'm just going to ask you guys, is in a game on Thursday, which, listen, I'm not making out Bodo to be like Barcelona or anything, but you would think that they're going to come out. They've got nothing to lose, right? For them to get to a semi-final is huge. Like, this is huge for them and the size of their club. They're not in the same scrutiny and pressure as Tottenham Hotspur, who haven't won a trophy for 17 years, who have spent loads of money, big stadium. I think they're going to be able to come out, relax and play, which means they're going to have a lot more of the ball. We saw on Thursday night, they're a very comfortable team with the ball. But I think we're going to see with their better players back, you're going to see a little bit more final third threat. Is Johnson the guy you want playing, knowing that we might have to do a lot more this way than that way? Because I think he's dreadful. By the way, Odobert is exactly the same. So is Tell. Right. They're all very, very bad at getting back and helping out what is already an exposed right back and left back because of how we play. So would Johnson be the guy for that?
Well, then there's an easy way to suss that out for me. I mean, for me, it's simple as. Then what I do, I just don't use both wing backs as inverted or pumping up the other end of the pitch. Like I said, and what I think Sean said earlier, is get it starting deeper, basically. Get our wing backs actually playing more like fullbacks for a change. Yeah, get a little bit further up, and we know Porro can get that long ball over the top, basically. Yeah. Then they don't need as much cover because they're not sitting in a bloody number 10 position or halfway up the other end of the pitch. Or if we're going to play it long and have Johnson cut in, Porro come up the side, whatever, then yeah, that's when you got to have Spence on there and then bring it to 3 at the back. It's, again, for me, it's as simple as that. But
I'm more worried about
Ange won't do it.
I think the Vicario on that pitch, they soak that pitch so much so that it zips up the ball, zips off the surface. He gets down. Like Fraser Forster gets down quicker than him these days, and it's a concern, mate, because that ball's going to fly off that surface at an extra 10% zip, and Vicario to me is a massive concern at the moment. But it takes one shot. It takes one shot, and we concede. Game after game after game. It's wild how bad that guy has fallen off.
Do you know, Sean? Sure. Yes, I think his passing the last few weeks, particularly last week, was dreadful.
Mm-hmm.
He's still one of the best shot stoppers going. And for me, For me,
not last couple of weeks. Not last
well,
month.
I disagree. You know, it's this. I mean,
today that was appalling to get beaten, to get nutmegged by Bowen was embarrassing.
It was 5
But
yards.
on the other side of it, Sean, it shouldn't have even happened as well. I agree with what you're saying. He should have had that covered and not got nutmegged there. But for me, that one is too easy to point at Vicario, like James was saying before, and that where that shouldn't have even happened, basically.
Yeah,
The keeper's not put in that position because the rest of the team totally screwed that good and proper. But he should have done better for it. I think Vicario is an excellent shot stopper.
Yeah.
As an overall goalkeeper, I think he leaves a lot to be desired, and I haven't seen much improvement. He's got all the mouth up the other end of the pitch and that, but as soon as it comes into the box, this is the bit that really pisses me off with him. He shuts up. He's got no command of his box. He's got no communication. Yet if he's shouting at the others up the other end of the pitch, you can literally hear it at the game, basically. Yeah. But as soon as it comes into the box, he shuts up shop, basically. He's got no command.
Until we concede, and then he's bellowing at his defenders again.
Yeah. No, I agree with that one.
Do you know what? I think this is an interesting conversation about Vicario, because I think Vicario, again, I think Vicario is just a decent keeper. I don't ever watch him and go, wow. I don't ever watch him and go, you're awful. But there are a lot of things creeping into his play in the last 3 months or so that I do worry. I think he's dreadful with his feet. I mean, again, today he did his very best to hand them a goal by passing straight out to a player, which we always say, oh, he's had no errors leading to goals like that, but purely because the other team haven't capitalised. I don't think he's dominant enough. I like a goalkeeper that comes through the crowd for a corner kick or a free kick and says, "This is me. I'm taking everyone with me." I don't think he does that. I don't think he's good with his feet. For me, I'm just starting to see a lot of cracks. Very good shot stopper. But for me, shouldn't goalkeepers be very good shot stoppers by the very nature of what they're doing 100%. In between the sticks?
Bread and butter, right?
Yeah, I'm not. But by the way, I'm not going to say. I know people go, "Oh, sell him." I'm not saying that. I don't ever feel 100% confident with him. I thought he was absolutely atrocious against Wolves. I thought he was atrocious in that game against Wolves. There was another game I can't remember a couple of weeks back where I was just like, "Oh gosh, you look poor." I thought today, other than that save, I thought again he looked ropey. I don't know. Maybe I'm being too harsh, but I think we're getting what we paid for. I think we've gone cheap, and I think we're getting what we paid for. Sorry if anyone's offended by that. But
I think he should be. Firstly, this whole tactic about starting up and passing across your 6-yard box is a nonsense. Just ridiculous. You've got players like Solanke and Richie who are decent in the air. Play the ball up to them. Play it long. Poch had a rule when he played that, as far as he was concerned, you only lost the ball in the opposition's final their third in the final third. And that was the way Poch, that was Poch's ideal way of playing. Lose the ball 30 yards from their goal, not 30 yards from our goal or less. We shouldn't be playing from the back. I'm sorry. If you watch the way we play, you've got the two fullbacks who push on. The two centre backs do not have enough options in front of them. The midfield players, there's particularly today, there's no movement off the ball. There's nothing. So on so many occasions, Daniel and Davis had to go back to Vicario. Just play the ball long. And work and pick up the ball and let Solanke and Richarlison play the ball off to a midfield player coming through. Don't start at the back where everybody knows the way we play. So everybody closes us down quickly. So all of a sudden, and you look at the goal last week, Tell played the ball instead of the ball having gone long, we found ourselves virtually in our own corner flag. Tell played that horrific ball to Gray. Gray got out muscled, and the ball's in the back of the net, and Liverpool 2-0 up. That should never ever happen because we're playing out from the back, and we're putting ourselves in trouble. and it's crazy. You got two big guys up front. Play it long and have the midfield players coming off them. Let them be playing the ball off. Vicario's good enough to hit long balls. I'm sorry, he shouldn't be passing from the back. You know, your heart's in your mouth. You see him pass to left to Van de Ven or to Romero. The ball goes back to him. They're closing down the players. The fullbacks have gone. You know, so the two centre backs are having to play diagonal forward balls every time. The fullbacks are hugging the touchline. If you're a centimetre out, the ball's off. You've lost the ball, and they've got possession. It's too risky. I don't know what. Again, this comes back to this manager and these lunatic tactics. Hit the ball long. You take that out. If Vicario's not 100% happy with his footwork, that's fine. For me, he's a goalkeeper. This whole thing, the way Pep started of playing out from the back, Pep's got the best players there to do it with. And everybody thinks, oh yeah, let's copy Pep without having the best players. Sorry, it's wrong. It's wrong. Hit the
Ian,
ball.
it's just some goalkeepers are not made to be a sweeper keeper, and other goalkeepers are just made to be a goalkeeper. He's a goalkeeper. He's not a sweeper keeper. All right, if he comes off his line a little bit, you can see he panics big time when he gets the ball, just like pretty much every other goalkeeper I've seen us have of late. I mean, Lores was absolutely shocking on the ball as well. But I think as a shot stopper, I'd say Vicario is better than Lores. As an out-and-out moment shot stopper, I'd say Vicario was better than Lores.
I don't know. I think Lloris, I thought, was superb. For 9 years, he was excellent.
No, he wasn't. He was very good at the most.
I don't know, Dan. I'm with
I
Luke.
don't think he was superb.
I think there was
very
there
good
was
player.
a 5-6 year period in there where I did not worry about. I didn't worry with Lloris. I didn't worry. I think Lloris knew what he was good at, and I think he knew what he wasn't good at. Now, I'm not blaming Vicario because this is how.
I haven't said he's bad, by the way, or was a
no.
bad shot stopper. I just think actually on a spur of the moment shot, I think Vicario is actually quicker. How shall I put it? Reflexes. I think he's actually quicker reflexes than Lores was.
Yeah, look. For me though, I completely agree with Lubo on the point of this incessant need to play out the back at all costs. It doesn't matter. They've got 5 players pressing you. Don't worry. Just keep playing out the back. And this goes back to the interview Spence had, guys. Right, where you've got Rio Ferdinand saying, well, hang on, when he played for Sir Alex would say to them, hang on, I've brought you to play for this club because you're good enough to play for Man United. You make the decisions you make on the pitch. I trust you. Whereas Spence is saying, no, Ange is like, no, we do this. You don't veer away from that. So if Ange is saying to them, you play at the back at all costs, that's not really fair on Vicario, is it? Because he's not good with his feet. His passing, his body shape when he goes to pass a football is all wrong. And yeah, we could talk about these stats, no errors leading to a goal. But like today, when he passed it out, I was just like, oh God, what have you done? Oh, thank God he got away with it. And there's too many of them, guys. There's too many of them every game. So I feel for him. I do feel for him a bit, but would you all have him as your number one? Is it like, would you say next season that there's any debate whether he should start above Kinski or should Kinski get a game next season?
No. No. For me, no debate. Look at Trossard's shots at the Emirates that won the game. There's no way Vicario wouldn't have got down and got a strong hand on that. Absolutely no chance. Sorry, I don't know. Kinski was an unnecessary buy. You got Austin, who's only played twice but did very well in both games against was it Hoffenheim and Newcastle. Didn't need Kinski at all. Complete waste of money. And for me, Austin is a good number 2. And for me, Vicario is a great shot stopper. And at the end of the day, as a goalkeeper, what's the most important thing you want? With a striker, it's scoring goals, and with a goalkeeper, it's stopping goals. So for me, let's focus on the most important things. And let's play to his strengths. Let's play to his strengths.
To be a goalkeeper, though, it takes a lot more than just being able to be a shot stopper. Yeah. Even if you ain't the best shot stopper out there, you can still be a significantly better goalkeeper overall than someone who is a better shot stopper than you. I get it's the basic job. I played in goal.
Yeah.
I still understand why it's that difficult to learn how to kick the ball. Like what else? What else? Do they, like they spend 5 hours a day on the training ground. Like how difficult can it be to pass the ball 10 yards?
And look at the position he gets put into. As soon as he gets the ball, Sean, he's got 3 people coming at him straight away or already sitting at him because everybody knows exactly what we're going to do. And he's got basically one of 3 options or one of 2 options even. He's either got one player either side of him there that if he plays it wide, the other one comes in and takes it.
I get it. I hear you. Not just about him though, mate.
For me, it's when in doubt, kick it out as far as I'm concerned.
Of course.
But
and for what it's
we
like,
don't do that either.
I do think that he's of late been given a lot more wiggle room to be able to do what he sees fit. Like I don't think he plays it out all the time like he was at the start of the season. But I'm not just talking about him, by the way. When I say like goalkeepers generally, like I agree with Savva. Bread and butter, part of your game, right? If you're a Premier League goalkeeper, being a shot stopper should come naturally to you. But the other part, where it's like, is he a sweeper keeper? Is he just a good goalkeeper? I don't really understand. Like, if you're a Premier League level footballer, including goalkeepers, like you're kicking a ball. There's a ball around you 24 hours a day, all day, every day of your life, from the age of about 4 until the age of 40. Like, I don't really understand why it is that these people struggle. It can't be that. Like, I don't get it. It can't be that.
Sean, I agree with you. But Sean, this goes back to, and we are going to wrap up in the next 5 minutes, people. This goes down to, again, when you look at nearly every player at Tottenham in 2 years, I don't know who's improved. Now, we can say Bergvall, but Bergvall as a kid, you would naturally think the more men's football he plays, he's going to improve. But of the Koglous, the Maddisons, the Romeros, the Van der Vens, the Porros, the Udogis, the Vicarios, the Solankis, I'm not seeing anybody improve their weaknesses. And you're right, Sean. In 2 years, you would think, right, we've bought Vicario. We were on the training pitch every day last year because there was no European football. Surely he should be out there working with someone all day. He should have an hour a day where it's right. Here's what you can do. Just pass out the back. But it's mad. It's mad how uncoached these players are.
Yeah, even Kinski, you bring this Kinski in. Look, he's a bit rough around the edges with his shot stopping, a little bit kind of not quite there yet, but master with the ball at his feet. We saw one moment where he did that kind of like golf fade shot where he like whipped it out against Liverpool in the cup. And after that, I was like, this is a representation of a master of a sweeper keeper role? Because I didn't think he was particularly good with the ball at his feet after that. I thought he was terrible with the shots, but I thought his kicking was atrocious.
Guys, would you upgrade him, Vicario? Yes. That's the question to everybody.
Alex Murray is available, isn't he, on a free transfer?
100%. But I think Vicario is not one of our problems. Not one of the big problems. Again, for me, I put them in blocks basically of who we need to get rid of. Like I said, Højbjerg was not a main one we needed to get rid of. Some people thought he was. I definitely thought he wasn't. And I think we've screamed for having a player like Højbjerg a couple of times this year. Yeah, he's one I think we definitely need to improve on as an overall goalkeeper. But I don't think he's one of the priorities that we need to look at as such.
Yeah.
Has it just come down to the fact?
There's so much we need to do, right? There's so much we need to do.
Has it come down to the fact that there's so much disconnection between the goalkeeper, the defence, the midfield, the attack, that just where there's no link in that whole team, literally no one's got any faith in themselves.
Yeah, 6.
In anyone around them.
You get a clutch 6 in there that can do
DM in there, proper
business, proper DM, and I think it solves so many problems. I've been saying it for so many years. Like I don't
play free at the back.
Look at Manchester City. The difference with like them that have got pretty much world-class players dotted throughout their squad. You take Rodri out, and they become a B team. Right? They become poor. They lose their confidence. They lose their shape. They lose their structure, and they lose their zip. And I think that this notion that because he does like again, it harks back to like amateur hour at the bar. I don't understand why people at the Tottenham Hotspur, if not Ange, because he doesn't think he needs it, then what is Johan Lang's job? What is Scott? Who are they coaching? Who are the scouts? And why is it that nobody in the last 3 years has thought we haven't really replaced Dembele, we haven't really replaced Wanyama, and this was 5 years ago. Yeah. We haven't replaced those players in any level, and our midfield is generally speaking bottom 7 in the Premier League.
We had 2 DMs. It's just we didn't use them as what they were. Well, Ange didn't anyway. Bentancur can hold that DM as good as most. I'm not saying he's great,
I
but
don't
he can
think
hold
he
it.
can, mate.
Well,
I like
see him
Benacer. I just can't
in
stand him.
At Juventus, I see him do it for 3 years, and he held it pretty well. But it was more of a DM, deep line playmaker at the same time, sort of thing. He had the other fella next to him most of the time. Who was it?
Double pivot he was playing back at Juve, though, wasn't he? He was in a double pivot.
Yeah,
like,
a bit more. But a lot of the time when he came back, he was held as a DM, deep line playmaker. I'm saying he's one of the ones we've got that can hold it as such.
The problem with Bentancur for me is not what he does with the ball. Sorry, mate. Go on. Sorry, buddy.
He loses his mind too quick during games. That's one thing he's always done. He'll have a moment where he loses concentration. He does do it. And Højbjerg was basically the closest thing we had to an out-and-out DM who would just get stuck into a game and whatever else. Apart from that, we don't have any option as a DM. I'm only saying Bentancur is our only option. I'm not saying he's who I would want as a DM if I had to go and buy one as such.
Can I tell you what frustrates me is in the summer, I've talked about this a lot, in the summer just gone, there were 3 defensive-minded box-to-box midfielders, whatever you want to call them, available, very, very cheap, that all went and we could have got. Like you had Kefa and Thuram, who I just watched playing for Juventus.
Brilliant,
right?
Yeah.
You've got Locatelli. Juventus had no money, and bit more of a ball-playing DM, but again, always in the right place, always available, can anchor that. Sorry, 4. You've got Manu Kone, who Roma picked up. And the other one you've got is Fofana, who went to AC Milan. Now, all of those players were available for less than 30 million euros. And this frustrates the life out of me that in that window, that's not one, without digging out, because I know without that, frustrates the life out of me that Gray was the 25, 30 million. They were all cheaper than that and are all playing for top European teams week in, week out. That frustrated the life out of me that these players are out there, available, cheap. Look at Villa. They managed to go and get Glenn Kamara on a free, right?
Yeah, and they went and got the guy from Everton as well. They got the big guy from Everton. Onana. I don't rate Onana, but he's a 6. He's a no-nonsense 6 who gets the job done. He would have been great in our system. Perfect.
But a lot of people said he wasn't good enough for us when it actually got spoke about by me and a couple of others on here. Me saying that I'd quite happily take him and put him as a 6, definitely compared to what we got. Again, we go back to the Spurs fans in general as a whole from what I see. Oh, no, he's not good enough. Oh, no, Thomas Frank's not good enough. Oh, no, this ain't good. Well, hang on a minute. We're sitting in 16th, 17th, praying that we win this Europa Cup to save our next 3 seasons, basically.
Would you take Cardoso?
No.
No.
So I thought you were going to say, I thought you were going to name a manager, and the answer is yes, whoever it is. Cardoso, neat, tidy.
I like him.
I don't mind him, but again, I don't know if he's the guy. I don't know if he's like when you look at some of the players that have been brought in, you look at them powerful. You know, you look at Rodri. Rodri, I know I'm talking about the best player in the world, give or take, right? He's not just another. He's big. He's powerful. He's intelligent on the ball. I look at Cardoso, for me, a tiny bit lightweight for me for that position. That's why I really wanted Manu Kone that Roma got.
Yeah,
powerful lad.
He was on my top 10 DMs list that I did a video last summer. All the names that you mentioned were on that list, Savva. There was 10 of them out there. None of them cost a fortune. The only one that would have cost a lot of money was Ugarte. And I still think he's a really good player playing in a bad team and a weird system.
I agree.
He hasn't hit, set the world alight at United. But I look at Cardoso and see quite a lot of the Ugarte vibe. I think he's also very, very accomplished at the switch, right? Which I think if you're a team that wants to play 4-3-3 and you want to have 2 guys that can take guys on in the one-on-one role, like for example Tell or Mikey Moore on the left and Odebear on the right, as that in that example, if you have a 6 that can win the ball back deep and then switch it with accuracy, then you have a system where you don't have to do what Tottenham currently do, which is always go down the left if you want to take a guy on, always go down the right if you want to bang it in from deep. If you can have that dual front threat, then with a guy that can switch the play as well as he can, the ball can get where it needs to go when the player's got space, and then the fullback, the opposition don't know how to structure themselves because they don't know which way it's going to come from. And then if you've got those 2 guys that can take guys on, then the fullbacks and the defenders have to make a decision whether to double up. And if they do double up, then you can bring it inside and give players like Maddison the space to work with, which he doesn't often have in a kind of youth system of football, like horseshoe football. Or if they decide to leave him one-on-one, then you can take players on and get yield that way. I just think that if you're going to get a 6, you need a no-nonsense player who just cleans the ball out, takes the player out, do that stuff, but with the ball, having the ability to switch long and into channels.
Sean, isn't the worry of all of this, isn't the worry to all of this, guys? I don't think, I haven't seen a single Spurs fan, right, in the last year, 2 years that doesn't agree that a number 6 is needed. But isn't the biggest worry of all of this is that it'll be pointless us buying a 6 because Ange does not play with a number 6.
He won't be here, mate. He's not going to be here next season.
I hear you, but his team his midfields are chaos. His midfields are absolute chaos. You need a manager that turns around, comes in and says, the first thing I'm doing, I don't want to invert these fullbacks. I want a number 6. And I agree with you, Sean. Straight away, I think you've just solved by not inverting the fullbacks and having a proper number 6. Straight away, I'm going to go, Paul, I don't feel scared every time now.
With that defence, the quality that you have, you immediately concede 15 fewer goals with a 6 and an organised defence, right? Because on paper, that defence is class, right? And then if you get like I say, if you get the ability to attack down 2 sides, and the opposition won't know which way it's going to go. Right now, we're predictable, right? You're going to get the ball, you're going to play it down the left every single time. It's just a rinse and repeat. And if you go down the right, it's going to go to Johnson. He's going to pull it back, put it to Porro, whip the ball in. Easy to mop up if you're a big defensive unit like, I don't know, Newcastle or Liverpool or Arsenal or whatever else. So like, there's no value in what we're doing. It's repetitive, predictable, and ineffective. But with that 6 and with an uninverted fullback system that's organised better, you concede 15 fewer and you can.
Do you know what's mad though? Do you know what's mad? If you look at some of these teams around us, when we always talk about the money spent and blah blah blah, when you look at some of these midfields that have been put together, right? How much did Brighton's midfield cost? How much Aston Villa's midfield 3 that played at the weekend and beat Fulham cost £2.5 million between Kamara, Tielemans, and John McGinn, right? You look at Liverpool, McAllister and their 4 midfielders are McAllister. Why can't I think of his name?
Szoboszlai,
Endo,
Gravenberch.
Szoboszlai, Gravenberch, McAllister, and Curtis Jones. You think of how much was it? None of those were ridiculous. None of them were.
McAllister was 35. Jones was academy.
Yep.
Szoboszlai was 40 odd, I think. And who's the other one you mentioned?
Curtis Jones comes through the youth system, right?
Curtis Jones was 35 McAllister.
Tottenham never going to get Gravenberch, right?
Gravenberch was what, 30, 40 million?
Yeah, but he's never going to come to Tottenham. That player was only ever going to go to a title.
I don't know. So you're looking at around 100 million, 110 million for the 4.
Yeah. But the point I'm making is even if we drop it down to, I would say the next level down, but they're actually above us now. Even if we look at a Fulham, how much have they paid for Sanderberg and Lukic, who are a very good midfield partnership, right? Look at Bournemouth. Bournemouth have put together what? Christie and Tyler Adams, right? For me, I don't think it needs to be, we need to spend £80 million on a central midfielder. It needs scouting. There's players out there galore. If any of you watch the French league, right? I know we always laugh about it and go, it's only PSG. If you scout the French league, there are some powerful midfielders in that league.
And all of those teams are broke, mate. All of those teams are bankrupt.
And it is the same in Italy as well. And this
same
is
in
like,
Italy.
I look on more of the Italian side because I follow the Italian football. I don't know so much about the French, but that is where a lot of the good kids do come from and whatever. And again, I'll call it again, even though I know it pisses people off. Even if you would have given me the option 2-3 years ago, I said it on Savva's show, or the first time I ever went on there, I would have took Milenkovic before he even went to Forest over Romero all day long. Why? Because he's a better overall
can you imagine the Milenkovic?
12
I would want
million
all day long, not with this manager. This manager,
I wouldn't want any defender with this manager.
We would not be seeing the Milenkovic we're seeing at Nottingham Forest now. We'd see a Milenkovic that's running all over the place. Yeah.
Paolo Maldini wouldn't work with this crap, Savva. Simple as that. And that's all there is to it. But 12 million is what I'm saying. And then what's his name next to him? How much? What did they pay? 25 million for their defence?
Murillo was an absolute, but like unbelievable find for them.
It was like 20 million.
Nottingham Forest have got their transfer strategy. Imagine if they do qualify for the Champions League and get that extra 60, 70 million in their budgets. They've got like a 9 out of 10 hit rate with their transfers over the last 18 months.
Look at Aina. free
Yeah.
transfer.
Another one.
Ainge is a
He's
free
on a free
transfer.
transfer. He's on a free transfer now as well. We could go and sign him.
Even when I've watched Wolves under Vitor Pereira, I'm watching Andre and Gomez as the midfield two, and I'm going, I'll take both of you. Right? Like that's how low I think we've got, that I'm looking at Wolves' midfield going, I'll take these. There's players everywhere.
Our midfield is a mess, yeah, for sure.
But this new man coming in, guys, right? We don't know what priority position he's going to want, depending on how he's going to play. He might want a goalie. He might be saying the goalie is the key to this team, or a striker. We're all second guessing. We don't know, do we?
But we don't know a new manager's coming in. This guy's about to win a Europa League. He might stay.
Nah, he's gone.
Paratici's coming. You know that Vinny's not going to come in without wanting to change his to stamp his mark. Because the only reason that a new CEO comes into a business that's failing, a new CEO of football is coming into a football side that's struggling. If he just comes in and says, "Yeah, I'm happy with all the people that I've got in the staffing department," you're inheriting what you got, which wasn't the point of you being there anyway, and it didn't work because that's the reason you're there. So, like, he's going to want to come in and bring his own team behind him. It looks like Paratici's coming back, so Johan Lang's probably out. Scott Munn's probably out.
Yeah,
rumours that Scott Munn is the mole. By the way, have you heard that? Yeah, I just think that with that is going to come not only Ryan Mason's probably going to West Brom, so thank God for that. Good luck to you, Ryan. But you need to go and make your part of the furniture.
Sean, I said this.
What I mean.
I said this 2 weeks ago with Dan and I. Dan, you remember we did the show, and I think we did it just as the news broke. We were live when the news broke that Venkatesh was coming in.
The CEO coming in. Yeah.
Yeah, the CEO. And I literally sat there and I said, this makes sense now as to why Ange has not been sacked, because I think Levy is ripping out the entire structure. And I think what will happen is whatever the last game of the season is, what is it? Brighton at home, Palace at home, someone at home, whatever the last game of the season is.
Brighton at home.
I think winning the Europa League or not, I truly believe that 3 or 4 days after that, I think you're going to see a clean sweep in one day. Munn has left the building, Lang has left the building, Ange has left the building, and I think you're going to see in the same announcement, Vinay started, Paratici's back, Gabonini's back, and
or Xavi or whoever.
That is why I have said I think Levy has actually seen more of this season than some people giving him credit for. He's just basically gone and done it in such a way that he's not going to have to spend a shitload of money. He's not going to have to get us a great manager that gets us fighting for 4th place. 10th place will be a major improvement. Unless we get in that Champions League, winning that Europa, we're not going to be looking at big players, whatever. He's given himself a relatively easy job. And the other thing he is now able to do, whether people like it or lump it, he's basically able to sit back and give a majority of fans the middle finger now and basically say, well, I did it your way and look where we are. So stop complaining when I sack managers every 5 minutes, like you say, to the point where we've either had certain people, Savva, saying, bring me back my Daniel Levy, yeah?
Mate, I've been calling for my Levy back all season. That
is why I said you. Yeah, that is why I reverted to you on that one. And at the end of it, he's the one who can actually sit back at the end of it and basically even do a little video to the fans and say, I tried it your way. And he did. And he stuck to it. And it hasn't worked. Now he's got the perfect chance to probably do it in the cheapest way as ever if everything goes tits up. To just do a total clear out, whatever he wants to do. And I don't think you're going to get many fans really giving a shit as long as that manager's gone and we just play some respectable football.
Xavi's unemployed right now, right? So he's on a free. There's no compensation for him, right?
All day. Do you know what Xavi likes as well? Xavi, who played in one of the greatest midfields of all time, understands the importance of somebody in the Busquets role. So Xavi understands. Xavi would be amazing for Bergvall. He'd be amazing for Archie Gray. He'd be amazing for the younger players, right? Can I just ask, last question? I do want to wrap up in a minute, guys. Lots of people in the chat saying, look, you know, there would be a lot of noise around Ange winning. And I've said he's going to win it. I think he's going to win it. Winning the Europa League.
Do you think he's going to win it, do you?
Yeah, I think we're going to win it. I think it's all set up very nicely for us to win it. I think he's had.
I thought you were Bill Bauer on the Bill Bauer train for that one,
mate. I thought Bill Bauer were going to win it all the way through, but then when I saw the draws, when I saw about a month ago, I said to myself, nah, and I did a video immediately on TikTok and on here when it's all setting up nicely. We've had a nice run. We're playing good teams. It just feels that we will. But look, if he does win it, guys, there are going to be a section of the fan base that won't understand how is a manager getting sacked when he's just won the most important trophy we've won for 41 years. I get that. But does how bad we've done in everything else completely outweigh the euphoria of winning the Europa League, or does he deserve more time? Like, I know we're all saying it's a done deal, but no. Okay, right. Just ask it.
Last quick thing I'll say on it is this is where I think a lot of football supporters, a lot of people still get their emotions too much into the game. And what I mean by emotions is too much into the games, like things like sentimental, morals. I don't care about morals. I don't care about sentimental. I don't care if the player's been with us 10 years and been brilliant, but is losing standard now. You're gone. You're not good enough anymore. See you later. I don't have morals when it comes to that. Okay, he's won us a cup. Fair play to you, mate. There's your extra couple of million on your payout. Do one because you've been absolutely crap. I want better. I'm not a sentimental or go by morals and that. Again, my saying is it's a dog-eat-dog world out there, not just in football. So that is how you got to get there to be at the top, basically. Or do we just keep hanging on to players till they're 32, 33, 34 because they've had a good 9 years with us or whatever? No, I don't agree with that. Same as a manager. Okay, he wins us a cup. Brilliant, excellent. But you just got a 17th, 16th, 17th in the league and would have got us relegated if those other three teams weren't that dog shit. You're gone.
In my entire life, I've never watched a side, right, having no confidence at all of winning a football match. So that, for me, he has to go. I can't see any more of this. Europa League win or
so you
what?
don't think that it outweighs? You don't think that it outweighs the negative?
No, he's got to go, man. Come on.
It goes over a bit of cracks, doesn't it? But
I'll bring it down. I'll bring it back. It's very simple. I'll bring it down to results. We're a second-tier team, and it's just interesting that it could be a final between two Premier League clubs in 14th, 15th, and 6th or 16th place. Which, funny enough, you could say either shows how weak that competition is or how strong the Premier League is. Not sure really what the right answer is. Yeah, but for me, his system is hopeless. His in-game management is hopeless. The intensity in training has brought about injuries. His management of young kids is hopeless. We have dropped from 25 points off the top last season, and we are 45 points, I think, behind Liverpool now. So we are hurtling downhill. And for me, that is enough reason to say, okay, if we win a second-tier tournament, that's fantastic. You look at our results against the bottom half of the table. We have played 17 games and scored 30 points. And when you look at the matches against the top 10, we've played 18 games for 8 points. So if you're looking at playing the top 10, 8 points out of 54. I'm sorry, you cannot justify keeping a manager. And I think that Levy has been as negligent as any chairman could ever be in any company to allow this rubbish to have gone on so long.
But Lubo, hang on.
This season, sorry, Savva, one thing. He has gone and done again. Like, I think you just don't listen to what I say.
I don't give a shit about what the fans think. See, if you're a boss...
All right, then. If their fans are irrelevant, then you're irrelevant.
You're running
you're irrelevant. We're going for another hour, doesn't it? Looks like we're plodding on.
If you're running a business turning over revenue of over 500 million, you do what suits the business, well, not what suits the fans. And when did he ever give a shit about what the fans think?
I'm not. That's the whole point I'm making. He don't give a shit about what the fans think. But what he's basically gone and done He's done everything that the majority of fans asked him to do for. And then when a lot of us turned and said, like, no, maybe we should get Levy back in here to do his job and get rid of him. No, we want to keep Ange. Stick by him through thick and thin. It's a semi-final. Don't fucking sack him. And then it goes on from there. And then all of a sudden, it's, I think Daniel Levy's had all this planned up. And he can literally turn around and tell a majority of Spurs fans, I did what you asked me to do. I think his play is good and proper.
Hang on.
Doesn't mean I think he's good.
I could see Lubo riling up when Daniel Levy's name was mentioned.
I'm going to say that, Savva.
Hang on.
He was by his calm. He's like, no. I think we got to do this. We got to buy a suit.
If what we just said was correct, right? If what we just said was correct, and Levy has had enough, but is getting all his ducks in a row, and is going to have a clear out and all new people coming in, then I make him right to wait until there is one clean foul swoop. So listen, there's no one who's wanted out. I don't think there's anyone who's wanted Ange out as much as me for as long as me. Maybe those who didn't want him in the first place, right? But I do understand if he was trying to orchestrate all that behind the scenes, I do get it, because what you wouldn't want to do, surely, is sack the manager 3 months ago while still trying to get everything into place. And then the manager you bring in, the new director of football might come in and go, hang on, I'm not joining because I don't want the guy you bought. But does that make sense? So maybe when we're saying it's utter negligence, it is, but if he's got the plan, then I get it. Does that make sense? I get it.
Yeah, it does. That's what I'm saying. He should have dropped. Go on.
I'll answer you on that, Sav. Can you picture the end of season meeting? He's gone over to the Bahamas. He's sat down with Joe Lewis. But Joe, I've got all my ducks in a row. But Daniel, if you'd have got rid of him 4 months ago and kept the team that's in place, so you're not going to compromise the position of a new footballing director who wants to bring in his own people, do you know what? You might have saved us about 35 million. What do you reckon? You've just cost us 35 million plus if we don't get Europe, another 50 million. So guess what, Daniel? Well done. Because you sat on your fat ass and did sweet fuck all for the last 4 months, you've cost me nearly 100 million. Thanks, Dan. You're a star. What a fucking genius you are.
And then go also look into the
lads. I've got to
process,
jump, boys. I've got to jump. Just say bye. See you later, everyone.
Ian,
But Lubo,
I get your passion, Ian, but sometimes
if he had the plan, how can he? You know, if we're talking about a clean sweep, CEO, new director of football, new chief scout, new manager,
but Angie's a disaster. So let Wells and Mason run it. Bring someone in.
Now, that one I can go with. He should have dropped Ange and just said 3 months ago, Christmas or whatever, and then just said, you know what, Mason, the season's screwed, mate. Just do what you can with it. And I don't really think he'd have got any stick off the fans either. Yeah, but there was still the problem is, think of it from another side. Yeah, take that Levy hate hat. Take that Levy hate hat off for a minute. Yeah, I don't like the prick either. Yeah, but you even keep telling me he's a poor businessman. Yeah, looks it as well, doesn't he? And I just think he's seen this a mile off coming, and I think he's just stepped back basically and said, "Okay, fans, there's what you want." I think he's got his plan because he already saw this season was dead 6 months ago. Like a lot of people did. Yes, he should have got rid of Ange there and then whatever else. But if he has got a plan for the end of the season, then isn't it all better to clear it out in one go and get everything you want in one go than having to do it in drips and drabs as such? Now, if he could have got a better manager in there and then, if he could have got a better manager there and then, but coming up to, say, Christmas, who could we have gone for Frank? Could we have gone for any of the others?
Also, how much is that cash flow going to cost you? Right? Say this all the time. Cash flow. I know people in your audience hate me talking about money, but at the end of the day, it is a factor here. If the chairman's thinking about that stuff, you got to pay off what £7.5 million in compensation to Ange Postecoglou. You're going to have to pay
10, I think, Sean, but it would have been 12 or 12.5 then. So it's only 2.5 million, and by keeping him, he's cost nearly 30 million.
Hang on. Well, you don't know that for a start.
Hang on. League position. Hang on. League position. Each league position is 3.1 million.
Yeah.
So if you get rid of him at Christmas or you get rid of him at the end of the season, it's 2.5 million. So that's one league position. Are you telling me that the disaster that we've seen with Ange, we wouldn't be one league place above?
Okay, well, let me just make the point I was going to make, right? So you're not just paying off the 2.5 million; you've still got the rest of his contract to pay off as well.
No, I'm just saying. No, you're paying him 12.5 instead of 10.
Yeah, just let me get my point. You've also got to get rid of the rest of the potential clear out, of which we are now thinking is going to be part of the thing that's happening at the end of the season. So other people that might be on compensation packages as well don't know what that looks like. Yep. Then you're going to have to pay compensation to the club in which you're buying the manager from. And the only manager that we're talking about that's out of office right now is Xavi, however you say his name, and that
the Ajax Dortmund one, or the one from Dortmund,
or Terzic, right? Terzic,
that's the one. Sir Gareth Southgate,
or Gareth Southgate, and all that stuff. You know, if you're going to go and try and get Thomas Frank, if you're going to go and try and get an Iriola, all those things. Not that you would necessarily have those things, and we all spoke about it at the time. The market was dry. Most of the media you'd think that the sort of senior media who you think would have closer tabs on what's the reality of the situation is saying that there was nowhere to really go for the managerial market. It wouldn't cost you an extra X amount of money in compensation. Then you've got to pay that guy a lot of money. And you're finding out now, I don't personally buy it from there's no money to spend, we've got to sell to buy bullshit.
No.
I think that whole thing's
that's
waffle,
bullshit.
Right? We bid £70 million on deadline day after.
But you're not going to sit there and say you've got 500 million to spend everybody, are you? That's just common sense, Sean, isn't it?
100%. You want to keep your cards, but you'd hope that Daniel Levy would be smart enough to keep his cards close to his chest on that regard. But
exactly.
So I'm just saying that from a cash, the idea of cash flow is certainly real, and look, Tottenham are, there may be some element of truth to the idea of the narrative that the £30 million that's being cost. And like to Lubo, to your point, like I hear what you're saying in terms of it all comes out in the wash. Only in a world where the Premier League position is dramatically different, and that is a supposition that we don't know whether that would have necessarily worked out or not. Look at, for example, Ruben Amorim. Right, they sacked Ten Hag. Even if they kept Ten Hag, would Manchester United have finished 16th? Past 15th, 14th? Would they have finished 10th? We don't know. But Ruben Amorim coming in mid-season hasn't exactly transformed their league performance, has it?
I think he's got the problem with United is they've got a very good manager and the squad's not up to it. So I think whatever manager comes in, you give Amorim 2 years, I think you see United challenging at the top. If they back him and they allow him to bring his players in, then I think United is a different animal.
But they're broke as
that's
well,
not
right?
What I think Sean. That's not what I think Sean's saying. If I understood you right, Sean, you're saying basically they got in a good manager and paid the excess money for it as well because it's middle of the season and that, and he's basically done absolutely jack shit for their season except get us on.
Sorry, let me finish.
That I totally agree with. So
yeah,
that's why I said just get rid of him and get in Southgate for 3 months.
Could have done that.
Go for the proper one.
Bringing someone on a short term, just fix.
Or even if it was Mason, that is the bit I agree with.
But look at
Jim Ratcliffe.
So Jim Ratcliffe has come in, and within a few months, he's decided to say we were going to have to turn off the lights at December unless we did this, that, and the other. Which obviously everyone was like, "What are you talking about?" Right? You've got owners that are not you, but the other owners that have taken £1 billion in dividends out. If they wanted to put more money back in, they could. So let's not pretend like United are broke. And they're the biggest cash cow in all of football because of their historical brand. But that being said, they did have to pay those compensations. And you guys were just saying that Manchester United will be back if he gets the money. We talk about Tottenham's sliding doors moment, that everything hinges on us lifting the trophy. If there's one club that needs that Champions League money more than Tottenham do, that can't weather the storm like we can, bearing in mind, right, like last season, we only had a 4% revenue drop from the season before. Last season, fewest games we've ever played in the Premier League era. Season before in the Champions League, right? So that's like that kind of like from sort of feast to famine, if you like, over the last 2 seasons. And it was only manifested into a 4% revenue, which is why I don't buy the bullshit that we don't have the money to spend in the summer. I don't buy it. And if that is the narrative of the summer, then I will absolutely go after the owners, absolutely criticize where I think necessary, like I always try to do. But I just think that this notion that, sorry, so last thing, this notion that it's as simple as the way you presented it to us just then, Luba, I just don't necessarily think it's quite the way that you say it is.
The thing is as well, I think when the Man United point is a very interesting one because we're potentially 3 2 games away from being in the exact same position that the Man United board was last year, which is a manager that has massively underperformed, then goes and wins a trophy and almost made the decision, right, that, all right, we'll keep him. They then went and spent, I don't know, Man U spent the best part of 230 million. I don't know the exact number, but I know it was a lot of money last summer.
200 million on 3 players, so.
Right. Now imagine they had got rid of Ten Hag at that time, had Amorim, and Amorim had used that money to get in players for his system. I think Man U regret that massive. They will massively regret that the guy they kept in because he won a trophy, like what Danny was saying, it was more sentiment rather than let's do what's right for the club. Tottenham have to be very careful because this man, I think, will win the Europa League. But when he does, if we're going to be sentimental and saying, oh, that covers over everything now, apparently now that's going to mean he knows how to coach in the league. It means he's going to manage properly. He's going to suddenly start developing players. If that's what we want to do, just remember that manager is going to have our transfer budget. And if he starts the season poorly, you're now in a position like Man U were when a manager comes in at the beginning of a season.
Wants his own recycling, the same old thing.
Wants 4 or 5 of his own players. Maybe he doesn't play the same formation. So Spurs have to be very careful and learn from what Man United did. And I don't think when fans say to me, you can't sack a manager that wins us this trophy. I can. That's how I look at it. I look at
and
it
I will.
clinically that yes, you can. Thank you for winning the trophy.
Yeah, there's empirical evidence to suggest that living on a meritocracy basis and like good vibes is going to come back to bite you. Can I ask you a question though? Right, so I subscribe to what you guys are saying on that one. Just sorry, Dan. Let me pop this question out, and then you can answer. Go where you want to. But the question I want to ask you, all 3 of you, was: in a world where he does win the cup, even though I think we were on the same page, you'd like to see him moved on anyway. Is there any unknown variable or value in the notion that his confidence, his demeanor changes when he wins, right? And on top of that, that there's some new indelible mark in the confidence of some of these young guys that at the age of like 19 years old, 20 years old, that they are a Europa League winner, and that creates some sort of like energy behind like wind in the sails of the football club that can do more next season than we saw this season.
No. I think I think he stayed because Munn's had his back, and I think Munn will go. He was Munn's choice, so Munn's credibility is on the line with Levy, because the biggest job that Munn's got is bringing the right manager in, and through pure laziness or not having the network that Munn should have, he's gone for a fellow Aussie that he knows, nice and easy, and brought him in instead of actually scouring around. They spoke to Nagelsmann. Nagelsmann wanted his own team in. I read Levy wouldn't have that. Slot, who knows whether it was Slot using Spurs to get a better deal with Feyenoord or not. But we ended up, unfortunately, with Ange. Munn has brought Ange in. He's had to stick by his man because that's his choice. And I think if Vinny comes in, if Paratici comes in, I think Munn's gone. And I think Ange has gone, regardless of whether he wins the Europa or not. And I think,
so he should be, because he is a terrible manager. I think I still stick to what I say. I think he's the worst manager I have ever seen in the Premier League. Yeah, you can see he's not capable for it. He's just not his strength. We're all good at certain things. We're all not good at certain things. Premier League is out of his depth, yeah, and he's got to go. If people want to be sentimental about it, it's another thing though. You can go back on saying, even though it was only Ange, he still gave the Spurs supporters what they screamed for, and that was an attacking manager, or well, supposedly.
Is it attacking?
That's what a lot of Spurs supporters still seem to say. That's why I said I agree, yeah. But we wanted attacking football. We didn't. People were going on, I can't handle Conte anymore. Even while we've been talking about this, people down the chat say, I don't want Thomas Frank. He's too slow. He's too defensive. He's too this. A majority was screaming for an attacking manager. There you go. Just done the treble up.
We haven't seen it though, have we? Like, we saw it for a while, Dan, and then it was like as soon as the facade fell apart against Chelsea last season, ever since then, it's been like the appearance of an attacking formation.
I agree.
In reality, it hasn't looked like that.
So,
And
so
also
why
Tottenham
do so many
fans
people
change their
stick
mind, like the
by
wind
him
change
then? Sean?
direction?
So
you
why
know?
many people stick by him then, still saying, I want this attacking manager who plays more Spurs football than I would rather have Conte?
Do you
Because
know what?
Conte doesn't play Spurs football.
What percentage of fans do you reckon, guys, are still Ange in?
I'd say there's still a high majority out there from what I see on Facebook and some of the shit stirring us.
Yeah?
I think it's
majority. I'd say there's a lot. I think it's 60-40 on Ange out.
In favour
But
of Ange out.
how many of them would be Ange out if it wasn't for this nice cup run we've had? And it has been nice. But I know people don't want the truth, but it has been a nice run. If this cup run didn't exist, let's just say AZ Alkmaar had knocked us out, right? How many of those would have changed? Because we're pinning everything on this Europa Cup. But to answer your question, Sean, I think the difficulty you've got is, does that change spark something in Ange? And I don't think he's a good coach. I don't think he's got good tactics. I don't think he knows how to develop players. And I don't think that changes because we've beaten Man United in a cup final. You know, I could understand it if we played poorly every now and then. I could understand it if we'd lost 10 games this season. We're sitting here with 19 defeats. And for ages, we heard it was the injury excuse. We've won one league game in 9. One league game in 9. These numbers can't be allowed to be papered over because we've won a trophy. Well, listen, on paper, it's a big trophy. But realistically, if you actually look at the quality of it, if you look at the fact that teams don't drop down, if you actually look at the fact, like Lubo said, you're going to have the team sitting in 15th and 16th in the Premier League playing in a Europa League final.
How many of the teams above, just out of curiosity, again, play devil's advocate, I know you're trying to wrap it up and have it for an hour, but
yeah.
How many
YouTubers, we're used to this. It's fine.
Yeah,
it's fine.
exactly. I'd love it, man. I'll keep going. It's fine. How many of the teams above Tottenham and Manchester United in the Premier League, given some of them have relatively little European experience, how many, like, do Fulham win that trophy? Do Palace win that trophy? Do Wolves win that trophy?
I think so. I think if they, again, if you look at all the teams Spurs have beaten to get to this point, yeah, are there any that you think, God, they would have massively knocked out Palace? God, they would have massively knocked out Fulham. These are seasoned Premier League teams with good coaches.
I'm actually surprised by some of the teams that didn't do very well in the leagues. Just like in the Champions League, same story, right? PSG scraped through. Real Madrid scraped through. They weren't in the league stage. Like, there was some Manchester City scraped through. There was some. I think Manchester City didn't even make it, did they?
They made the playoff with Real Madrid, didn't they?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Right. So there's some absolute shocking performances in both competitions under the new format. And you're right about the quality is definitely not there, and the drop down definitely dilutes and all that. So I get it, but I'd also say that of the teams that were in that initial 34 or whatever it was, or 32, I'd say that there was some teams in there that were surprisingly poor, and there were some teams in there that kind of outperformed, like a Bodo, kind of outperformed to the upside.
You've had Roma, you've had Galatasaray, you've had Porto, you've had Lazio. Now, you would think that there's a good chance all of those might be in a semi-final, mightn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Listen, I don't doubt that. But if you take a standalone look at our fixtures, Lubo, that we've had to get to this point, be brutally honest, do you not think that Crystal Palace could have handled Ferencvaros, Karabag, Elfsborg?
Yes,
Bodo,
but you know what?
I don't see that we've done anything. Listen, winning the trophy, I'm not going to belittle it. But like when somebody said earlier about Thomas Frank, one of the first comments was, Thomas Frank would be good, but could he have won this cup? Well, what could Thomas Frank have not done in this Europa League route with Spurs' squad that Ange has done?
Well, the answer to that is yes, because if you had Thomas Frank or a Glasner or a Silva or Xavi, you would expect Tottenham to be in the semi-final, no question, and you would be looking at Spurs and you'd be looking at Tottenham with the players they've got to have a very good chance of winning it.
Of course.
So the players are turning up. The players are turning up for some of these games despite Ange. So there's a chance they're going to win the trophy.
Yeah,
Not because of Ange, not because he's pulling out the hat of fantastic tactical masterclass to beat these teams, because the players he's got who have underperformed, underachieved for whatever reasons are playing well in a few games at the business end of a competition, so they could win it.
But if they're going to get the credit for winning it, the players, then the manager's got to get the credit as well.
Well, listen, I'm happy to say, well done, Ange. There's the door.
Yeah, baked potato. See you later. That's what I'm saying.
Absolutely.
So you give him the credit where it's due.
And it is important. Can I just?
But at the end of the day, mate, see you later. You're not good enough.
Right.
I don't care. I don't care about morals and he's done this for us or he's give us our first cup.
He's not good enough.
I couldn't give a monkeys, basically.
As important as it is, Sav, as important as it is for Man United to win it, it's as important in my opinion. United have won 2 in the last 2 years. We've won 2 trophies in the last 33 years. So for me, and I would love to see, and I'm going to bring it round because I've got to say, congratulations. I'm delighted Harry Kane has a winner's medal tonight.
Yeah,
because Leverkusen drew, and I would love to see him back at Tottenham for a Champions League run next year. Yeah,
good luck with that one. Let me just add, and we are going to go. We are going to go. I'm absolutely shattered. This is all this conversation is based on us winning it, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The flip side, this is how fickle football is. Even if we get knocked out by even if we got to the final and lost in the 96th minute or penalty shootout, if we don't win this trophy, and this is what frustrates the life out of me, guys, when people are saying, I don't want to win this trophy, forget anything else. Spurs have to win this trophy for so many reasons. So me not liking Ange doesn't make me go, fail, don't win it. Nah, I want him gone either way. Right? But if he wins it, right, you get more revenue. If he wins it, we can attract a better manager. If we win it, you can attract better players. So the final thing I want to say is this. If we don't win it, this is going to go down as the worst season this football club has ever had in the Premier League era, right? Mm-hmm. Points per game is already the worst in our 143-year history, by the way. We have got 17 points from 17 away games, guys. We are on a one point exactly point per game away from home. We've got 20 points at home so far this season, 20 and 17 away. We're on course. We've matched our most ever defeats in a 38-game season in the Premier League, right? Everything about this, if he doesn't win that Europa League, he's going to go down for me as the worst pound-for-pound manager we have ever had.
No question about that. Well, I'm interested to know, like, it's clear as day, it's black and white for him. Technically, data-wise, he loses, yes, worst manager ever, unarguably, in my opinion. If he wins it, I think some people would say he's still the worst manager ever in our history, but he's also at the same time the most successful. And the most successful is not the same as the best, by the way. They're two different things, right? Massively different things. You can be the most successful at something, but you can also be absolutely shocking. You know, just look at some of my exploits out on a Friday night, for sure. That would agree with that kind of statement. But like the thing for me is I wonder whether or not Daniel Levy can survive. Obviously, the online space is vastly different to the average man in the street or in the pub. So when I go to Tottenham and I do my one take Tottenham videos where I just wander up to random people deliberately all on one take so that no one can accuse me of like cherry picking like what I put out. And I still ask every people like, you know, what's your stance on Levy? What's your stance on this and Ange and that and the other? Like the online environment is very, very different to the average man in the street. They don't all share the same sort of general consensus that is found in the online space. But I do wonder whether Daniel Levy, with the movement that's growing against him or has grown against him, if we lose that final, I don't know whether he'll be able to recover his brand. Whereas if you do win it, if we do win it, a lot of the Johnny come latelys that have wandered across the aisle to join like the kind of change for Tottenham movement over the last 6 months. A lot of those people probably wander back over again because a trophy is what the success failure sort of line is quite thick there. But yeah, if he loses it, so it's not just about Tottenham's finances, it's not just about Tottenham's team, not just about Ange's legacy. I think also there's more on the line here for Daniel Levy than
there's so much on the line to win it. But which is why I hate Sean. So somebody posted to me yesterday, Sean, and said, Savva, I know you don't want to win this. You should take a lie detector test to prove you do. I was just like,
what a show that would be, by the way. What a show that would be. Polygraph galore.
Imagine. Sean, can I just...
You know what makes me laugh?
Who asked you to do a lie detector test?
Hang on, just quickly. You know what cracks me up, right, is the number of people that if I say I want to win it, no, you don't, you hate Ange. I don't think the intelligence levels are very high. My love for Tottenham, right, trumps my dislike of Ange as a manager. My love of Tottenham. For me, I think it would be catastrophic for this club. Now, we've never been in this position before, guys. We've never been in this position before where winning a trophy is not just because we need to win one, but is so fundamentally important for how we perform as a club the next few years. Because already, again, I'm not a finance guy, but already at the moment, we're sitting £34 million down on last year's league revenue at the moment. If we drop one more place, we're now at £37.5 million revenue lost. Now factor in if we don't get Champions League, we've now got no European revenue coming in. Now you've got players that will want to leave, the likes of Romero, etc. If they do leave, the money isn't going to be there as much as with these revenue to go and replace. I think just that alone tells me we have to win this. So all these fans that say you don't want to win it, we've got to win it.
Otherwise, it destroys us for the next 3 or 4 seasons, even. It can totally destroy us for the next 3 years.
I think more than that, bro. I genuinely think that right now, for both Tottenham and United, given the external variables, right, given that Villa, look, their 96% wage revenue threshold ratios look problematic until you hear that Saudi Arabia are going to come along like the shining knight that they are and buy Emi Martinez for 70 million and Bailey for 100 million to get them out of trouble. I've been saying it for years. Like the scratching of backs between the cartel is outrageous, but it is what it is. You've got Newcastle United that are doing bits and moving in the right direction. You know that Chelsea are going to be there. They got the Club World Cup revenue. Arsenal aren't going away. Liverpool certainly aren't going away. And obviously City are not going to go away either. Then you've got Nottingham Forest, right? If they manage to continue, I don't think they will. I think they'll struggle, especially if they don't make the Champions League spots. Then I think that next season, 2 games a week, whatever, is going to be difficult for them to juggle. But in a world where they did get into the Champions League revenue, and in a world where they did continue on their 9 out of 10 hit rate with their transfers, with the additional budgets to spend, you've got potentially 7 or 8 teams that are fighting for traditionally only 4 spots in the Champions League. It becomes incredibly tight. So Tottenham and Manchester United, one of those 2 teams, or possibly both, if Bodo or Bilbao do it, are going to get left behind. They're going to get left behind. Now, Tottenham can weather it a little bit better than Manchester United can, at least for this year. But if United go and win it, they're back, right? They're back with the draw they already have, the brand they already have. Players want to go there because it's Manchester United, and they win a trophy every couple of years, no matter how bad they are. Tottenham, if we're crying poor now, again, don't buy it, don't believe it. But if we are doing it that way, and then you don't win, who's going to want to leave, right? Does Romero have any chance of wanting to stay? Not that I care if he goes or stays anywhere as long as you get the right money, but he'll want out. Does Porro want out? Does Decky want out? Will Maddison want out? Who else will want to leave? And then what do you do with the money? Well, Tottenham traditionally misspend their money anyway. So it looks pretty bleak for Tottenham on so many levels. And it's not just for next season, Dan, to your point. And I don't think you even think it's maybe
I said for about the next 3.
Yeah, sorry, that's what I'm saying.
It's for about 3 seasons.
It could even be more than that, right? Because I just think that there's new competitors. It's a new world order in football, in the Premier League. There's new players that are playing and that are competing for the spots. And all of a sudden, you could find yourself mid-table, and then we're back in 2004 again. And all of that work that started with Harry Redknapp and Martin Yeo, it's all undone.
We're desperate for new owners.
Fair point. Fair point. I'll go with what you... Yeah, but Yes, we've been saying that for how fucking long now, Ian, and we know that ain't going away anytime
Well, I don't
tomorrow.
know.
Yeah? So we can go on about that one as much as we want, but we can go on about what can happen in the very near future, and those owners leaving in the near future, it just ain't going to happen. I'm just hoping that with the protest, we can divert them a different way as such. But with this, I mean, yeah, I agree with what you said, Sean. If we don't win this Europa and get in that Champions League, I agree. I can see more than 3 seasons. This totally
And because that stakes are so high. I remember watching AFTV after the PSG game, right? And I saw the usual emotional reactions, and some of them were hilarious. There was one guy who was very I think he was maybe of Middle Eastern descent or something. I forget his name, but I hadn't seen him before. He's very much a politician. He's wearing a suit because he was doing this. And whenever you see someone who's doing that, it's like something you're taught that at like Oxford or Cambridge, right? It's how to debate. You don't point, you do this. So very, very articulate guy. And he said, and he made a really interesting point, and I think it might be true to Tottenham as well, that he said that Arsenal bigged up that game against PSG too much. The fans put on too much around it. The content of the club, the content of the big channels, it was all built up to be something so big that Liverpool wouldn't have done that. The teams that are used to playing at that level in the semi-finals of the Cups or the Champions League, they wouldn't have behaved that way. Real Madrid wouldn't have behaved that way. Barcelona wouldn't have behaved that way.
Arsenal already thought they'd won the game because they'd done a battered Real Madrid, basically.
Exactly.
When I say battered, still an extremely fucking good team. But from Real Madrid, we have seen they were a bit battered, yeah. But Arsenal done a brilliant job doing it. And then what they went and done was underestimate PSG.
Yeah. And I just wonder.
That's how I see that one.
And I don't disagree at all. I just wonder whether we might also be guilty. And I think it's right to discuss it, but I wonder whether we are also building this up, like to a point where the pressure, because the Tottenham, do we as Tottenham fans think that Tottenham, our players handle the pressure in the big moments well? I think the answer should probably universally be no, right? We struggle with finals and semi-finals traditionally. So I just wonder whether or not we're running a little bit before we can walk with Bodo, and B, we are also as guilty as fans. But what we're saying, I don't think is wrong, that like the stakes couldn't be higher. But at the same time, we're adding an additional layer of pressure to the environment of which Tottenham, the players, the team, and the club traditionally don't
think we're adding it. I don't think we're adding it. We're just talking about it. If they don't know it, then they're thick as shit. Simple as that.
I think a lot of it.
I get what you mean. We're all talking about it. We're all going on about it and everything. It's there. But if the players don't even know this themselves, then then they got issues.
But you can tell how starved of success we are because we do not have a winning mentality. And what I mean by that is no other club that calls themselves a Big Six club, allows their manager to have 19 defeats in a season. No other club allows their manager to have 19 defeats in a season, be sitting in 16th place, and still has a fan base that the majority are sitting there going, really like this manager. That's it for me. Because we're so starved of success. If we had 5 trophies in the last 10 years, right now, everyone would be Ange out. Let's be brutally honest. Right now, we'd be going, we're not used to this. This is terrible. Get him out.
Ange wouldn't be here if we had 5 trophies in the last 10 years.
No,
right?
Sure. But you know, whoever the manager is, right?
Exactly.
Whoever that manager is,
it's not good enough.
We wouldn't allow this to happen. And people keep saying, yeah, but what about, Amorim? But the mess at Man United isn't Amorim's mess. That's not Amorim's mess. He's had 1 signing in January. Ange has had 400 million quid, 17 new players. He's had 4 transfer windows. He's had 2 pre-seasons, 2 full seasons in which one there was no Europe, so they were on the training ground. This is his mess.
And he likes to say, last season the excuse was we're not playing enough. This season the excuse is we're playing too much.
Right. And I've just seen a comment that I really like.
Pick your argument, bro. Pick your argument.
Reezy, by the way, we're not yet. Relax. Again, this is the thing. I saw a comment I really liked. And I am ending right after this. I'm going to do some super chats and then going to end. It's where was it? It basically said, isn't it funny that it's always with the Ange fans, isn't it funny that when it's league defeat after league defeat after league defeat, it's always, but there's been extenuating circumstances. and different factors are at play. But then when we go to Europe and win these games, Ange is a great coach and a great manager and he's a great tactician. And it's funny how that's spun, because when we lose week in, week out in our bread and butter, there's always a reason for it. But then when I say, yeah, but we've had an easy cup run, everyone wants to say, no, it's not been easy. Well, okay, how comes we're not in a run in the league? Anyway, look, I'm gonna.
So, can I ask Sean one question though? Just to finish
Sure.
off what I was saying before. Sean, you
Sure,
got
as long as he doesn't answer.
No. You've got a financial background, so I'm going to ask you. In any other business, how long would this chairman have lasted since the year 2000 with his record? Do you think?
That's
Chairman or
definitely
owner?
not a question to ask because I'm about to end the show. Surely,
No, it's
surely
not.
that
It's
is not the question to ask. Can we
Especially with fucking
Yeah.
Sean sitting there, yeah. Especially with
can we
Sean
pick
sitting
up
there.
that-
No. Game
Whatever
over.
Sean was going to answer, Lubo would have lost his mind. And go,
No,
right,
I'm fine. I'm
you
cool.
would
I'm
have.
cool.
Arsenal are just as spicy Spurs. Big up for the customary super sticker out on every stream. Thank you so much. I appreciate you, my man. NSG has said, dream scenario. We win the Europa League. Levy holds a speech announcing he is stepping down as he has achieved everything he can. Sure, I'll go with that. Can't see it though, mate, but I'll go with that. Big up to you, NS. Jordan, big up to you, my man. Said, we can't underestimate Bodo in the second leg. Completely agree. Under Jose, we went to Zagreb for the second leg with a 2-goal advantage and ended up losing 3-0. And their manager was in prison. So we got outdone by a managerless club. Big up to you, Jordan. Really appreciate that. Good point. The problem is, if you err on the side of caution, you've got certain fans telling us that we're not real fans for saying that we're not just going to smash them. This is going to be a tough game. It's going to be a very tough game. And Pete, big up to you, my friend. Hope you're well. I said, this squad has the mental strength of a Poppadom. One setback and they crumble. That was them at their worst, and that's all we could do to them. I think, Pete, you've got a good point, and that is what they've got to show Thursday night and then in the final, that we don't. The only way we're going to get that monkey off our back about this mental strength is to go and win those 2 games. But I do agree with you. Now I really want a Poppadom as well. Guys, thank you very much. Really appreciate it. Sean, thanks for jumping on. Thank you very much, Danny. Thank you to the Danalist and, of course, to Lubo, who had one of his customary rants about Daniel Levy slap bang in the middle as we were about to end an hour ago. Take care, everyone. I'll see you. Do I have a morning show? I'm not going to have a morning show tomorrow. I've got a couple of videos coming out, and I'll be back tomorrow night for the collective. And also on the second channel, we'll be doing the watch along for Crystal Palace versus Nottingham Forest on FHTV Plus. For anyone who hasn't heard, all of my stuff now will no longer be on Big Up. All my secondary stuff is going to be on FHTV Plus. Take care, everyone. Thank you very much. And at least we didn't lose today. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.